What's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? This is your man, Real Deal, Steele, coming to you live for this exclusive episode. It is a late one, folks. Technically a Tuesday. No, technically a hump day. But we're going to call it a Tuesday. Going up on a Tuesday, folks. Going up on a Tuesday. Thank you for joining us for this special late edition of Steele Live. I am Steele. And boy, do we have an exciting show, a fantastic show, an awesome show lined up for you guys tonight. And let's get down to it, boppers. We've got some super chats coming in. Let me get to those first. We got Upshot for 99 cents. Thank you for that. We've got Upshot again for $1.99. I pulled the rug, guys. I admit it. Who else do we got scrolling down? C Energy with $4.99. Oh, hell yeah. C Energy says. Then we've got Sliding Edge coming with a $2 super chat. Elon in a Dogerus, hot for Dogecoin, hashtag Doge Army. Upshot again. Upshot throwing down on the super chats out of the gate, $4.99. Yes, it's true. Ross is working on the Upcoin to Doge bridge by Upcoin. I won't pull the rug again. Yeah, I'm sure we are taking that very, very seriously. That you would never pull the rug again. Guys, if you are new here, I'd like to personally welcome you and invite you to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit all on that notification bell. This channel is just a little over 3 months old, but we are growing exponentially with an awesome community. Would love to have you be a part of it as we ascend to the moon, Mars, and beyond together. Guys, if you haven't already smashed that like button, I want you to smash it. It takes a split second of your time. It doesn't cost you a dime. It's the number one thing you can do to help a new emerging community like this reach into those tricky YouTube algorithms. So smash that like button like you'd smash your first childhood celebrity crush. And obviously, if you want to super chat throughout the broadcast, feel free to do so. I got Sadaf cracking up over there. Feel free to do so. Obviously, it's much appreciated for the time and efforts, and you can put whatever respectful questions you'd like for not only myself but my panelists tonight. Without further ado, it is my co-hostess with the mostest, Sadaf. How you doing, Sadaf? I'm pretty decent. We're both in the middle of moves, as I understand. Yes, guys, we can promise this live stream is rug free. It's a rug free stream. Somebody going by the name of Ross is super chatting $1.99. Hey guys, glad to be here. I don't know if it's the real Ross or not. I'm not sure. I think you guys are getting so good at your various different characters and your personas within the chat. It's hard to know. It's hard to know what's real anymore. Yeah, so you're coming in through loud and clear. You're coming through just fine, Sadaf. So yeah, let's just get to a couple like small stories before we welcome our featured guests of the night. So Doge Axe Body Spray released a special edition of a Doge edition, like a Doge Axe Body Spray set. It's just such an unlikely combination. I've never personally, I know this may come as a shock to all of you, but I've personally never been like a Doge Axe Body Spray kind of man, but I did try to get my hands on some Axe Doge Can, as they're calling it, and to my dismay, they limited the run to just 1,000, and they sold out immediately. And I don't know, I'm still not cool enough to be included on these promo lists, so I never got the advanced promo on the Doge Can, but hopefully they'll re-up it and make another go and press another. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for interrupting. I'll check the settings. It's probably a Discord thing, guys. So just a moment. Discord can be kind of temperamental from time to time. So I think. Give me another 1-2, Sadaf.
1-2.
Okay, you should be good now. I think I remedied it. Sorry for that. Sorry about that, guys. Sadaf should be coming through loud and clear. I don't want to get too much into it, but Discord audio can be a temperamental affair. So, but we should be good to go now. So back to Doge, back to Dogecan. What would you imagine the Dogecan to smell like, Sadaf?
Is this a trick question?
It's not a trick question. I'm just asking you. You know, you're an outgoing young woman. If you walked by a man with a crypto plan and he was wearing Dogecan, what would you imagine that to smell like?
Well, I mean, shouldn't it be like a unisex kind of scent?
I would hope so. I would think so. But Axe body spray is usually most associated with a man's thing. But I don't know. I don't know if Doge scent is
really?
is unisex. Is that? Oh, come on, Sadaf. Axe body spray and women.
I'm not going to start that. But no, I think it would smell like. I don't know, like
money.
Sandalwood. I like it.
Sandalwood. I like that.
Yeah.
Actually, sandalwood.
Sandalwood, yeah.
A little bit of sandalwood and what else?
Musky. Someone said musky. I like
some musky sandalwood.
Are you seeing the wet dog comments?
Musky. It smells like wet dog. It smells like thick green candles. Someone else says. Of course. Someone's gonna say that. Yeah. Musky sandalwood, the scent of Doge. Yeah. I would love to like make a fake commercial for it. You're a man on the.
Did you watch Minecraft? Kramer made one about the beach. I think it's amazing.
Oh, I know what you're referencing. Yeah. I'm just trying to picture the Doge Axe body spray commercial in my mind right now. He's a man on the town and on the charts. he needs a distinct smell to represent his I don't know, like his meme coin love. I don't know.
Something like that.
But musky sandalwood sounds like the answer. So
someone said musky sandalwood already. Yeah.
So the next round of Doge cans that get released, I'm gonna do we'll do like a live review. Sliding Edge come with a $2 super chat. Dogecan Axe needs to have Steven Steele scent. Well, you can't argue with that, folks. Of course, that would be awesome. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm popular enough to warrant anything like that. Maybe they would just like. I'm popular enough to maybe for them to mention me in a reply tweet. So. Moving on. We were talking really briefly before the show, Sadaf, how the general climate out there right now is, it seems like everyone's blaming everyone and everything. And this is a kind of a common thing that you see once you head into a bear market. Everyone's looking for something easy to blame, whether it's altcoins or influencers or the powers that be. What do you say? You got any thoughts on this?
Look, I think it's really intense right now. You can't even get a tweet in without having some sort of backlash. So, yeah, it's very intense. And I think what we were mentioning earlier was, I love seeing people's technical analysis and their charts and their opinions, but I appreciate it more when it stops at that. So just put your point of view out there, show me a chart, show me the context. But I'm seeing a lot of people put that extra little line at the end about, and whoever told you XYZ wouldn't happen, you need to unfollow them now. I think everyone just needs to chill.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Step back, chill. It also helps to look at, the algorithm of the charts over not just the past 3 months, but the past 3 years and beyond. And that really tells quite a different story than maybe the one that's easy to get caught up in on from the day-to-day basis on social media, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but like I said, just really intense. You almost don't want to comment on anything because you just don't want to open a can of worms. Yeah,
intense is the word. I once met a woman. She said, she asked me to make love in the forest because she said, when I make love in the forest, it's actually intense. But don't. gosh. I love puns. I love dad jokes. Beef Supreme coming in with a $5 super chat. Type 69 in the chat to surge the Doge. I love it. What episode of Steele Live would be complete without the Beef Supreme? There's also another character that goes by Carl's Jr. that just pops up in the chat too, and President Camacho kind of makes an appearance here and there. We've got a very colorful, eccentric crew here at the Steele Live community. Yeah, so I agree with you. Overall, it's like when you take a step back and you look at the pace of the entire market over especially like a 5-year period, what we're experiencing right now is not particularly uncommon, right?
No, not at all. But I think with so many new people coming into the space, that's where the
it's kind of one of the growing pains. It's like a good thing, right? Because we have so many brand new investors in the space that we've to the degree which we've never seen before over the last year. And I think that's a great thing. That's an awesome thing. But it also comes with perhaps a lack of perspective in some regards. So we need to do what we can, even in our small slivers of the internet, to help kind of try to cool tensions down and just put things in a healthier perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think I tweeted last night that the people volatility was greater than, the market volatility, and it's kind of what's happening.
People volatility is greater than the market volatility. I like that. See, Sadaf, this is exactly why I have you on. That's a quotable right there. Did you tweet that out, or did I miss it?
I did tweet it out. I think I did that right before I went to bed at like 3 a.m. I was reading through everything, and I was like, oh, okay. This is my closing ceremony before I go to bed.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, guys, we're gonna bring on Samuel in 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes, and then we're also gonna have Ross. We're waiting on Ross Nicoll to come on as well. He's not in here yet, but he will be momentarily. So we're gonna bring on Ross and Samuel together, and it shouldn't be any more than 5 minutes. So another interesting article that I came across today through CoinDesk. This was the title of that article. Meme tokens set for third straight monthly loss as retailer traders flee Dogecoin copycats. This was penned by Mayao Shen. Have dog theme meme tokens had their day, or are they just plain dead? In a recent shakeout in meme tokens, a sector best known as by the Shiba Inu-themed Dogecoin indicates that retail investors are exiting their positions in cryptocurrencies as recent market sell-offs have spooked many newcomers. Meme tokens have posted massive gains earlier this year. I think it highlights the aggressive nature of the risk and flow that was prevalent during that period, said Dennis Vino, head research of Synergia Capital. Fundamentals per se did not matter, or mattered to a less degree. At the end, it became a very crowded momentum to trade, oversaturated meme market. So basically, what we are seeing is a pretty severe downward trajectory among a lot of BSCs, right? But at the same time, simultaneously, we are seeing signs of life today throughout the market, and particularly Doge. Doge is up over 10% in the last 24 hours. So what do you make of this? I think that the BSC market has gotten incredibly oversaturated, and a severe thinning of the herd in the very near future, I think it may be even already underway, is inevitable. What do you think, Sadaf?
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's become oversaturated when you're getting DMs of people, offering you to join a team to start a new coin. Or, something as stupid as something I tweeted, which was maybe we need a DYOR, do your own research coin. And someone actually reached out and said, we should do this. So definitely oversaturated.
Yeah, I've been asked quite a bit to explore launching my own coin. And the thing is, I first of all, I'd like to preface that I have no plans on doing such thing at this time, like none. I have no desire to do such thing at this time. If on the off chance I were to ever explore something like this, I would have to make sure, number one, I'd have the time to really just dedicate it and the money to see it through, and also conduct it as ethically and fairly and as transparently as possible. Those would be my number one priorities, obviously, apart from being able to be financially secure enough to sustain a project like that. But it's amazing how many people have contacted me about that. But I have no interest in doing it. My focus is the show and the cryptos I'm already bullish on, and seeing how I can best fit in those places and assist in those ways. So Sadaf, would you ever make a token?
You know, I have a guy that's constantly trolling me about making a Sadaf coin.
Yeah.
And I've asked him a few times, I'm like, so what would the utility behind that be? And he goes missing every time I ask that. But no, not something that I'm looking to do. Although we've spoken about, a few of the women in this space looking to create some sort of a coin driven just by a woman only team. So, I mean, that would be interesting, but nothing on the horizons at the moment.
Yes. Let me get to a couple super chats, and then we'll introduce our featured guest for the night. Be Supreme coming in a $5 super chat. Type 69 in this chat to surge the Doge. I love it. Someone going by the name The Real Nick Balls with an avatar of me putting in a $1.99 super chat. When is Ross coming? My friend, your super chat is well timed, because at this time I would like to introduce two men with big plans. One of them being someone that has been on this show twice now. One of them very recently. It is the one and only legendary Dogecoin Core contributor, Ross Nicoll. Ross, are you with us this morning in the United Kingdom?
No.
So the coffee has not kicked in yet.
No. And there's a story to this. I've got the time zones wrong again, so it's all, I'm suddenly having my first coffee and going, wow, this is a sudden start to my day.
Welcome.
So where are you at? About 8 a.m., 7 a.m. over there?
It's 7. So I was looking at CST, not CDT, because you're in daylight. But
yes.
It's fine. We made it work.
Yeah, sorry about the confusion with the time zones, guys.
It's absolutely fine. That's on me.
Well, thanks for getting yourself out of bed and joining us this morning, and hopefully you'll continue to be able to shake off those cobwebs as we move forward, Mr. Nicoll. And then also, it is my pleasure to introduce to you guys someone that hasn't been on the show before, and we really appreciate him taking time out of his busy schedule to join us and to in this discussion tonight. It is Samuel Reid. He is the CEO of Geometric Energy Corporation. Samuel, are you with us?
Yes, I am. How's it going?
Awesome. We're great. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is really exciting. I know the crowd's really excited as well. So yeah, we appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me on. Really excited to explain some stuff and, go over the project a bit and help Q&A with you guys to give some more explanation to the community and follow up on your guys' last show where you had kind of discussed about it a bit without me there to help kind of guide the conversation or answer anything. So I hope that this provides some clarity to people who watched last time as well as everybody watching now.
Excellent. Would you like to just start off to maybe share with the audience a bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Samuel Reid, and I'm a mathematician by training and practice, then went into making my own technology company. So 6 years ago, I co-founded Geometric Energy Corporation, which is a a sustainable R&D and technology company that has branched out into logistics and manufacturing and space. So we have 6 different divisions. There's energy systems, aerospace, defense, theory and computing, blockchain and cybersecurity, medical technology, and advanced research projects. So in the energy systems division, we have a battery technology and are building a solar farm. In the aerospace defense side, we have a lot of work going on, some of which is the space business that I'm going to be talking about more. And then we have some software and computer engineering work, and then we've also been manufacturing many millions of nitrile and latex gloves for a lot of COVID response stuff the past while. So that's what our company's been up to generally, and then we've been doing a lot of work in DeFi and crypto, going back to helping work with the IOTA co-founders to help make IOTA Foundation and that whole project, and then rolling into some new work with ITS and Reina to make Reina Swap, and then now these new space tokens with Beta Rho, Gamma Kappa, and Z or XI for satellite advertising on CubeSats that we were launching with SpaceX. So then we've also created the DOGE-1 mission to the moon, which is a CubeSat that we're sending to the moon with in collaboration with SpaceX. So just happy to talk about all of that and clarify anything there, and go into any kind of questions and answers about any of that. So
awesome. Well, it sounds like you wear many hats over there at your company, and you cover a lot. I mean, I knew that you guys covered a lot, but I didn't know you're covering all that. That's very impressive. Samuel, could you tell me when talks first began between you and SpaceX regarding DOGE-1?
Well, it's been a few years in the making. So originally, I tried to contact SpaceX for lunar payload quotes in 2018. We eventually ended up talking to some of the Doge community. In particular, there's a developer named Sporklin, and we had been engaging on a Doge fundraiser back in 2019. Our former director of software engineering, Thomas, was actually the CTO of SafeMoon now, and he helped us originally do this small Doge fundraiser back in 2019, where we promised the Doge community we would do this eventually. We raised at the time, literally it was like $30,000 Canadian, which was 5 million Dogecoin, funny enough. So absolutely absurd to have the kickoff of a financing for a moon mission be off that, but we somehow managed to bootstrap our way into this actually happening and having it be that now Geometric Energy has paid SpaceX in full with a lot of Doge to make this happen and be able to announce this and offer further matters in relation to it to the public. So
amazing. Someone going by the name of Ross Nicoll, super chat $4.99. I assume that's not you, Ross. And then Robbie Gilchrist coming in with a generous super chat of 69.69 Canadian dollars. Thank you, Robbie. Appreciate your generous support of the broadcast and the Doge community. Sliding Edge coming in with $2 super chat. Doge community strong. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. I did have some audience questions as well. And Ross, feel free to jump in at any time that you feel like if you had something to ask, and Sadaf as well.
I was going to say, because there does appear to be a clone of me in chat, and I'm going, the real article is the real article, as it were.
Okay, thank you for clarity on that. That's what I figured. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super interested to know what DOGE-1 is doing. Can you give us any details on the satellite itself?
Yeah, so I can explain some things about it. I do have the SpaceX NDA, of course, so I'm not able to disclose everything about it, as well as more sensitive details that could be, considered ITAR related concerns. But I can explain generally that it's going to be a CubeSat, which has computing and communications equipment on it, as well as energy systems, and that we will be having a display and armature. You can think of it as sort of a GoPro type apparatus for viewing the side of the CubeSat that will have a display on it for similar to Drawball or Satoshi's Place or Reddit Place, kind of a decentralized art related claiming project where we'll be able to have this display that's updating depending upon claims for the different spots depending upon color and brightness. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what the public does with that. And we're also intending to have a DLT example use case to demonstrate some type of interplanetary commerce mention, ideally with a Doge transaction or some type of wrapped Doge transaction or pairing with a wrapped Doge transaction. So it depends on what we can truly fully pull off here. There's a lot of space mission design finalization and matters in relation to how much computational capacity we have. We're hoping for the ability for a node, but I'm not promising that. So I hope that kind of helps clarify a bit of the scenario there. So Doge was the unit of account for the business deal, and a lot of Doge was paid to SpaceX by Geometric. And then further, we're intending to have Doge pairings with the art claim related tokens, the Beta, Rho, Gamma, Kappa, and Z, and then also the usage of ideally a wrapped Doge token with respect to ReinaSwap, which is a decentralized exchange that we've also been working on helping create and set up pairings for. So that was another reason why, Ross, I was really interested in your Doge Ethereum bridge mentions, because we had looked at Ren Doge and some other possibilities for ETH and Doge connecting so that we can wrap Doge and have pairings with it in like an ETH ecosystem sense, either on a DEX or for pairs with other ERC20s and things like that. So we're very open still to what kind of Doge Ethereum related interoperability there is. So hopefully we could maybe even use your system of the way. But I hope that kind of clarifies more about the intent and what's going on the mission. So there's two levels. There's like the business deal was done in Doge, and then we're actually trying to demonstrate further real DLT in space use cases where we're able to have information related to the art that's changing over time, and then also demonstrating that you can actually have some type of interplanetary commerce going on with transactions in these systems being able to deal with that kind of latency. So it is a bit of a proof of concept and tech demo and seeing if we can really do DLT from the moon and around the moon and so on. So it is high risk stuff. Space is hard, but there you have it. That's what we're trying to do.
Wow, awesome. Yeah. Go ahead, Bros.
I was going to say, it's interesting talking about the Doge Ethereum bridge, and I think it is worth saying with the bridge. So obviously I've got a Q&A coming up. So what's actually happened there is a lot of people keep coming to me and saying, Ross, what does it do with this? When's it coming out? What could we use it for? How does it work? And I'm going, I can go away and I can talk to the developers for it, get their answers, and then come back to the audience, or I can just put the audience and their developers together. So, I mean, it is that Q&A is going to be sort of where we find out a lot of things like release schedules and utility. And if the existing bridges haven't been something that you've felt were the right solution, I think hopefully it'll be more appropriate.
Got it. Got a super chat coming in with a question. Thank you, Trucking All Day, $5. Samuel, how much would you say so far in transaction has been paid in Dogecoin to DOGE-1, estimated with an estimated valuation of $92 billion according to Forbes? Is there any? Are you able to shed light on a question like that or not?
I unfortunately, between SpaceX and Geometric, we've had it be the case that the financial total of the transaction is not disclosed to the public for a variety of competition reasons and other details of, in relation to that. But I can say it was many millions of dollars and the largest business deal I've ever done. So that's all I can really say about that in terms of exact specificity. I can't say the amount of Doge or dollar equivalent that it was, but it was a lunar mission, and so you can assume it was a lot.
Gotcha. Yeah, thank you for that. Go ahead, Sadaf.
Yeah, sorry, Samuel. Just off the back of that, how has your experience been working with SpaceX?
So it's been really great working with SpaceX. I was thinking it was going to be a lot more stressful and intense and really serious. And although the topic matter at hand is and the need for success and so on, everybody's really optimistic and positive, and it's a really fun time like working with them all. So if I have anything to say of the SpaceX team, it's just amazing. What they can achieve with so much kind of lighthearted, fun way of having it happen. So it's a really great experience for us all, and we're super lucky to work with them directly.
Right on. Samuel, what was the initial inspiration for the mission in DOGE-1, obviously, and what was Sporklin kind of like the arbiter between those what you do and Dogecoin? I mean, how did that initially conceive the relationship between your company and Doge?
Well, so it was originally like our director of software engineering at the time, Thomas, like Papa Cthulhu's his like screen name. He's the CTO of SafeMoon now, but so he was, before that project got made, working for Geometric full-time internally, and him and I kind of came up with this idea off of just the meme of like Doge to the moon, and can we actually make this happen for real? At the time, we were trying to work with PT scientists, and they ended up going bankrupt. So it kind of, an initial version of the mission failed, and then we revitalized it once we realized that we could work with SpaceX directly instead of through PT scientists. So we've really been at this for many years now, and it was a bit of a kind of synchronicity and joke and coincidence that Thomas and I tried to do that originally in the first place, and then Thomas was the Doge Facebook admin, and when we announced the stuff, essentially I was still collaborating with IOTA at the time, and then IOTA was like, what's going on with this? IOTA's not doing this fundraiser, and then it became a bit of a drama between IOTA and Doge related people, what was going on here, and Sporkling came out of the woodwork through that to be like, what's happening here, and then this was in like 2019, and eventually we sort of just had the community be like, well, Sam and Geometric are trying to do this, hope it works out, good luck to them, and then nobody heard about it for like 2 years, and then we came up with the news that it's actually happening and not just like some joke, and hopefully that people remembered the original thing at all and are like, what, that actually happened? But there's some funny old Reddit posts and so on of us getting like a teeny amount of money to set off the whole scenario, and then it just kind of happened.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I hadn't actually realized that was the 2019 project was you. So apologies for that. I do remember that.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I am also going to say, unfortunately, Sporklin, as many in the community will be aware, passed away earlier this year, and that's also part of where I think there's been a sort of a discontinuity that's occurred. And I apologise to the Geometric Energy Corporation for that sort of communication breakdown. But yeah, I mean,
no worries. Obviously, no one's expecting that.
Where that goes. Is there sort of how can people keep updated with what DOGE-1 is doing? Is there sort of, can we see an information site, or will there be an information site or anything else coming up?
Yeah, so I mean, there is a Geometric Labs Telegram, as well as my Twitter, Samuel Reid GEC or at Geometric Energy on Twitter. So really, we've just been releasing in our Telegram and Twitter whatever we're allowed to release, which has to have alignment a lot of the time with the SpaceX PR, or if there's another partner we're working with, we need alignment with them on it. So there's a lot of pending news and PR to come out with different partners in relation to it all. But everybody's just going to need to be patient for when comms department of partner company approves exact wording, and then we can release it and things like that. So there's going to be a lot more coming out and future news, and the easiest way really to chronologically track it or keep track of it is going to be off of Geometric's Twitter or the Telegram groups, to be honest. But yeah, there's the beta protocol.io, rho protocol.io, gamma protocol.io, kappa protocol.io, and xi protocol.io that are the websites for the satellite advertising tokens. And we'll be updating those websites with unified information across those 5 sites, and each of the 4 link to each other on the website. And then there will be a release of this front-end claiming system for them all, so that you can begin to get what XY coordinate, color, and brightness, as well as the amount of time that something will be displayed for on the screen. And then a main goal is to make sure that we get the R-Doge pairings on RenaSwap, so that the Doge community can get access to pairings with all of those with just Doge, so they don't need to kind of like go through ETH. But we're trying to resolve these problems, as is Ross, on like ETH Doge bridge, what works to actually make that happen properly and successfully. Rendoge is the best thing we see so far, as wrapping Rendoge, which is like a wrapping of a wrapping, to have it on a RenaSwap pair. But yeah, I hope that kind of explains a bit. Sorry if that was a little too DeFi deep on if no one knows what RenaSwap is, but yeah.
No,
I think I may not have followed all of it, but I think a lot of people actually get super excited by the stuff they can't follow. So it's always actually good to hear the deep dives.
Yeah, agreed. Here's a question from one of the viewers that I had submitted, that got submitted earlier today. How can people use space tokens such as gamma, kappa, beta, rho, etc., to advertise on CubeSat in space on Doge Mission 1?
Yeah, so there is a front-end claiming system that is going to be released soon, wherein it's a little bit like a Tetris game for people to claim nearby spots on the display screen. So there's going to be a live portal, similarly to how Satoshi's Place has a front end for using Bitcoin to buy pixels on that. So we're really planning to have that launched and live in August. So going to be at least another 10 days here for that system to be functional. We were intending on the XI sale to release that, but we may just do it sooner. I'm gonna ask some of our lawyers on timing, but it's going to be essentially a front-end Tetris game that the public will get to play for having spots, and people will try to draw over each other, or time will expire and then people will reclaim again. So in short, there's going to be Solidity contracts deployed corresponding with this front end, so that people would connect wallet and send tokens to have a claim for an amount of time, and then that would get displayed on the screen. So we expect over time there to be, changing screen display based on who claims what over what period of time. And then I also wanted to clarify that it is not just on the DOGE-1 satellite that's intended. We're also doing, separately from this, an Earth orbit mission launching a variety of CubeSats in June 2022, and the space advertising screen is also going to be on the side of the Earth orbit stuff. So we're going to have a dual, essentially clone copy of the screen and the claiming system in relation to the DOGE-1 and Geometric-1 missions to the moon and Earth orbit respectively. So a long-term vision and goal of Geometric with respect to the space advertising matters is that we would have around the Earth and around the moon these screens in successive series. So there's the DOGE-1 mission to the moon, Geometric-1 mission to Earth orbit, and then the -2 versions of the series for the second mission to the moon for DOGE-2, if that happens. I don't actually have a launch service agreement signed for that yet, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to formulate and have DOGE-2 occur. That's not promised, but it's in the works, as well as Geometric-2, which would be the second Earth orbit launch. So the plan long-term with Geometric and these is to have repetitive, successive, essentially upgrades of the screen and advertising qualities, such that -1, -2, -3, and so on has a more emphatic growth of the initiative and community interest and so on, to the point where, ideally in many years, Geometric has a variety of satellites with screens on the side of them around the Earth, Moon, and maybe even Mars for some of the kind of first space advertising in this kind of new idea of live streaming on the side of the satellite, which is not really anything that anybody has done before. It's illegal to display ads that you can see from the ground without aid of technology. So a lot of people have written off space advertising as a thing because of UNUSA law, where you can't have obstructive space advertising. But yeah, hope that explains about the plan and vision of the whole scenario, as well as just answering that question of, there will be a front-end claim system soon where you'll be able to redeem the tokens for that service of that you pre-ordered the art effectively, and so it's a utility token, not a security. Just
Gotcha.
Samuel, you've given us some insight on, I guess, some of the roadmap items that you have, but in terms of key ticket items for the next 12 months, what does the roadmap for you look like, including anything like partnerships on the horizon?
Yeah, so I can speak a bit to some of what I have mentioned previously that is public information in terms of partnership mentions, as well as future roadmap of tech release. So I did mention just now the August front-end claim aspects for essentially being able to have these deployed contracts corresponding to each token, where you indeed will be able to see the visual representation of that and choose your color, choose your brightness, claim an XY coordinate on the screen. And I assume when that gets released, that people will have a lot of interest to try to claim the first spots and get on there as their little logo or their art piece or whatever it is they were wanting to have the world see on there. So August is really focused on ensuring that is live and fully functional and ongoing. Then throughout the fall, we'll be and moving into Q1 leading up to the launch, we'll be seeing that system as it develops over time for essentially pre-booking of advertising space. It's kind of almost like a tokenized billboard that you can pre-order what spots are going to happen and show up on it later, and it's digitized. But instead of being a billboard, it's like in space on the side of a CubeSat and live stream. So the partnerships upcoming, I can mention When Parker Logistics. They are working with us to deliver many millions of gloves across Canada and the US ongoing. And they've agreed with us to use a SATCOM terminal piece for a supply chain application of tracking goods and having Oracle data reporting associated with the Z protocol for an application to supply chain of the Oracle system that is embedded within that as well. So there is a question and answer, as well as revealing compared to physical data that is communicated through a satellite communication terminal as part of the Z protocol as well. So that's in addition to the space advertising matter, where there are meta oracles and oracles who can ask questions and answer questions, and to be an authenticated oracle arbiter or somebody really telling the truth that guesses oracles have can be verified for their veracity. One of the requirements for the oracle arbiter is that they communicate their data through a satellite communication terminal. So a good example is the Meta Oracle asks what the temperature is going to be on, August 30th at some GPS coordinate at noon. And then all the oracles can guess what that temperature is going to be, but the oracle arbiter who is at that GPS coordinate at that time, who does report the temperature through a satellite communication terminal, that's what the actual answer is. And then all of the oracles compared to that answer will get weighted rewards based on how good of a guess they were and how well in advance. So there is a question and answer system for a decentralized financial incentive for forecasting the truth properly. So there is a lot of interesting kind of oracle query stuff going on with some of the utility of these in extension to the space advertising. Sorry if that's a little over the deep end, but there's a lot of technicals going on there further for like future roadmap stuff, as well as something called DOGE-1, which is a decentralized generative pre-trained transformers. So it's like GPT-3, but we're decentralizing it and having it be these new algorithms for decentralized unsupervised pre-training and decentralized supervised fine-tuning, which is kind of like a application of using the computing schema I had described with the medical oracles and the oracles, and looking at sort of implementing a decentralized deep learning system with that, and then having these XI tokens be rewards for byte encoded tokens getting indexed into the DOGE-1 system, which is like a decentralized next word predictor system. So in terms of future roadmap, there's beyond the satellite advertising and the rollout of the claim system for that, and -1, -2, -3 of missions moving into next year and the year after that, and so on. We intend to have these tokens have further utility with a lot of these Meta Oracle systems I'm describing, and decentralized multi-agent consensus with some of this stuff. So hope that explains some future roadmaps, but I can't fully go into a lot of the partners that haven't disclosed themselves yet, but I can say further that OrbCom is who the first SATCOM terminal application is being implemented with. So that's like OrbC on NASDAQ. They have a subsidiary called Skywave Mobile Communications in Canada, and Geometric is engaged with them to procure satellite communication terminals, and we're intending to be able to provide those to Z holders who have enough tokens and want to claim a SATCOM terminal and be an Oracle arbiter. So hope that explains some more information.
So safe to say you're going to be really busy.
Oh yeah.
So a couple of questions coming up in chat actually that I think are interesting. So one of them was sort of this, okay, so you're putting advertising on the side of the satellite, and you've actually said obviously it can't be visible from the ground without technology. So is there a plan for how that's going to be visible? I mean, are you going to have something pointed at it and then relay that somewhere? What's the plan with that?
Yeah, so it's essentially like a GoPro selfie of a video that goes to a YouTube live stream, effectively. And people would want to go to the YouTube live stream to see the display screen. We'd also show on the claim website just what the screen is, not its live stream video of it, but just the claimed art picture changing over time, similarly to how like Drawball or Satoshi's Place or whatever just shows what it is. But then further we would have the live stream video showing, ideally on YouTube, or we might do Twitch or something. I mean, I'm not 100% sure the exact streaming mechanism, but it'll probably be like a YouTube stream.
Yeah, I'd caught you mentioning GoPro earlier, and I hadn't quite picked the context on that. That makes sense. So you're talking about a lot of decentralized projects, and beyond that, I mean, honestly, my first impression is, have you tried sort of sequencing these? This is a lot of stuff to take on at once. So I think one of the ones you mentioned was decentralized learning. Was that right? Or potential
Yeah.
learning?
So there is there's this project DGPT-1. There's a URL. You can go to dgpt.1. For example, to see what we've released there as some nascent information provided to the public immediately on that. So yeah, I mean, I spent, I got a math degree, dropped out of grad school. I had a lot of math and computer science exposure, so I've been at this for many, many years to, look at decentralization from a very mathematical and computer science based perspective. So I've done a lot to just take standard algorithms and decentralize them, indexed over a number of oracles instead of one GPU that's centralized to doing it. And I claim I have something there with what's going to be released with that, and the ability to have the public provide these byte encoded tokens to index the internet effectively for this next word predictor system that ideally in its asymptotic form of the architecture would be trillions of parameters, way better than GPT-3, but that would actually have to be when it is heavily trained and millions of dollars have been spent on computational energy toward building and training it to be that good. So we'll see how far along that gets, but
yeah, that was going to sort of my question was what does decentralization bring to that? And particularly, it feels like something that's extremely processor intensive and communication intensive, and it almost there's obviously a trade-off there. And I'm just wondering what that looked like, what that was going to bring to it.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of simultaneous narratives with short-term, medium-term, and long-term perspectives on this all. But we saw the need for an open source system that the whole world has access to that is better than GPT-3. We think Microsoft having an exclusive license on that is something that should be advanced and open sourced to the public for general usage. So that was the ethos and goal behind the project. The rewards for it are small, so we'll have to see how much of it gets trained, but the main focus immediately short term is the space advertising matters, and then also the meta oracle related query system that is very much so based on classical computing and SATCOM terminals, as well as sensor data being reported and compared to. And then the next step after that is sort of these decentralized protocols for indexing the internet to have redos of GPT-3 that are decentralized, essentially. So there's and that's more of a long-term vision. So you can see the short-term, medium-term, and long-term aspects of this, and you may be able to infer some ways they overlap or interface, but there's a bit of a vision to be unfolded here, and a lot coming, so can't spill all the beads at once, but I hope that explains some stuff for now.
Yeah, definitely. Samuel, what is the relation of Baron Buddy Bolton to the Geometric Energy Corporation?
So Buddy is our well-respected senior advisor who is a very good inventor and has a lot of good contacts and networks in areas in relation to space and defense and intelligence. So we collaborate with him, and he previously was a comedian and did some acting stuff and so on.
That's what I thought.
Quite a background of interest in relation to overlap between, space and government stuff. So that's mainly what we focus on and work with him on. But,
that's awesome. Yeah, I was wondering if it was the same guy that was a voice actor in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, this is the Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead Redemption, Gotham, Mr. Deeds, Master of Disguise guy.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Would you ever have him do like voiceovers for geometric energy?
Well, we do have a subsidiary called Geometric Gaming, and we
Yeah.
have
Oh,
some
okay.
collaboration towards some other stuff. So there is definitely reinvigorating Buddy's voice acting need for some gaming stuff that hopefully we get to one day.
Yeah, yeah. Could you maybe just touch on geometric gaming real quickly?
Yeah, so really there's another project called Sirius, as well as Ki-Fi or Kifi, and that's a kind of a game where the NPCs in the game are AIs or engineered sentiences themselves. So we're working a lot on advancing that and hopefully getting it to release in collaboration with Sirius Cybernetics. So we're really looking forward to the game Ki-Fi being released for the public, where you're able to engage with NPCs in the game that are smarter than any NPCs anyone's ever seen in a game, and have insightful dialogue with them for a lot of interesting use cases and knowledge development and so on. So we're really excited with our collaboration with Sirius and Ki-Fi. So we'll see all that soon more.
Gotcha. Cool. So to be clear, if DOGE-1 is successful, it sounds like you would be not only open but eager to do a DOGE-2 mission.
Yeah, so we are indeed attempting to and planning to do a DOGE-2 mission eventually. We don't have anything like a signed agreement with SpaceX or that I've paid for it or anything like that, like is the case with DOGE-1. So we'll have to see if that transpires. I'm not promising the public that that's happening, but the name is indicative of -N further in the series. So
Got it. Awesome. Did you have something, Sadaf?
I was just going to ask Sam one of the questions we've got over here, and that is, do you own Doge?
Well, I don't presently have any Doge because Elon really pillaged me of all of it. If I had any extra money to spare, I'd get some more. I'm just really focusing on space equipment costs and hardware and things like that. So I don't really have any time or money to speculate around Doge at the moment, although I indeed fully support it. Just I'm sure everybody would rather me spend money on space equipment and space hardware to make this mission go properly rather than hold a fuck ton of Doge still. So
Yeah. What were you saying there, Ross?
I was going to say, clearly what you need to do is publish an address and people can just give you a few dollars worth. And I think that's the other thing, is you obviously, and it's something I've said a few times, people should always be willing to dump into something in the small quantities. Like, having some Doge shouldn't mean, crazy amounts. Having $10 of Doge will still be you have Doge. So we should get that to happen sometime.
Yeah.
I mean, I've Geometric Energy has been in and out of a lot of Doge to make the SpaceX deal happen. So, but we are not, we're not saying that we are not interested in further being involved there and being a holder, even if small. To be transparent, I don't have any left.
But it's been put to good use.
Not because I don't want any.
So did Elon really pillage your Doge, Samuel?
Well, I just mean, the deal was very much that I needed to come up with a massive amount of Doge, which I did not have, and continued to procure more and more and more of it since I signed the agreement to get it all done. And that was a lot of buys.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I mean, certainly I can imagine that in particular, like as a company holding Doge on Geometric's accounting sheet, I imagine would be complicated. I imagine that's part of the decision.
Well, I mean, we've managed to, surmount the problem of having our bookkeepers and accountants deal with that cryptocurrency exists and recording that on our books and so on. But yeah, so the complication on the accounting side isn't the scary part for us, but I'm sure we'll get more Doge. Just not gonna lie, we don't happen to have any at the exact moment.
Right on. Samuel, is there a general timeline maybe you're able to share yet on the completion of DOGE-1?
Well, a few months prior to the launch, we need to have everything finished and delivered for integration, and I can't really go into exact details further in relation to how that works to dig into exact space mission design and execution details with respect to mission management and so on. But it's been underway for a while, and hardware procurement is ongoing and testing to make sure that we're within the timelines. So there's a schedule of L-1, L-2, L-3, L-4, and so on. That's launch minus however many months beforehand, and so there's a very specific schedule of L minus whatever the number is left to address this and that task to get to the next matters at hand. So we're working under the guidance of SpaceX and in collaboration with our integration partner Maverick Space, as well as some other collaborators to get that done and stay on track. But the launch is slated for Q1 2022, and can't go into exact timing in Q1 further than that, I've been advised, but it is reliant on when the Intuitive Machines payload is ready to launch, because they're the primary on the mission for which the DOGE-1 is the ride share. So
right on. I can't help but think when I hear you describe how many different areas that the Geometric Energy Corporation is responsible for, and just how much you guys dabble with. Do you ever wake up some days just not even quite sure where to start? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I definitely wake up really early in the morning, like sweating a lot of the time because of mostly gloves and needing to deal with pandemic response stuff. And then once that's handled, I can deal with funner, more interesting things like space and software and DeFi. But my day generally starts with being really, really stressed about gloves manufacturing and then proceeding to funner things. But yeah, it definitely is a lot to handle, but there's a whole group of companies and many people involved, so it's not just me. There's a whole team of excellent people we're collaborating with to get this done, and yeah, looking like almost 50 people now on the team with all the employees and independent contractors collaborating on everything on our end. So that's kind of helps explain the order of magnitude of the operations. So
Yeah.
Excellent. Guys, you're listening to Steven Steele Live. I am Steven Steele. My special guests for tonight are Samuel Reid. He's the CEO of Geometric Energy Corporation, and of course, Ross Nicoll, core Dogecoin contributor, and my co-hostess, Sadath. And we're just covering a lot of stuff tonight. And if you are new here, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to hit that notification bell. I do live streams pretty regularly, and I try to bring you guys the most interesting guests I can find in the space. So it's good to have you guys. Good to have you guys. Going back to Samuel, where did the partnership, I guess, between Geometric Energy and COVID relief in terms of sanitation gloves, how did that all transpire? That's pretty interesting.
Well, I essentially just looked in January and February 2020 at the stats that were going on, and I was like, holy shit, that's going to be crazy. So I tried to call up some gloves factories to just begin manufacturing millions of gloves because I foresaw that it was going to be immediately needed. And then that was a call, and a lot of governments were calling me to essentially get gloves and manufacture gloves for them. So we've, at this point, manufactured and delivered over 100 million gloves to North America, to Government of Canada and U.S. government, to FEMA, hospitals, nursing homes, and so on.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was really just a kind of a pivot attempt where I looked at the timing, saw what was happening with the stats, and just decided to do it, and it ended up being a good move in terms of first mover advantage there, as being gloves factory distributor when everybody needed it. So.
Wow. And what other governments have you worked with regarding that project?
Well, it's mainly been U.S. and Canadian government. We've been really tunnel vision on just kind of North America related COVID response. So not much else outside of North America, to be honest.
Gotcha. And I've had several people in the community wanting me to ask about NFTs in relation to space art that you can buy. Is this something that you've been dealing with at all?
Well, there's been, some possibility that there will be, for when you claim your image, that there's an NFT minted corresponding to that. So it's like an NFT you get when you claim the space advertisement spot. So that even after the time, like the XI tokens for the, airtime or time that it's displayed elapses eventually, and then your ad or your logo or your art's gone. If you still walk away with that NFT of that you did have this on the satellite at some point, and there's this art of the NFT after when you claim it, we were thinking that would be a good community experience and what people would want to kind of walk away from the situation with, more so than just that, I claimed the tokens and it was up there for a second, that was cool, and it's gone. And like, if somebody has an NFT of what they claimed, I think they may be, a happier customer getting this service of pre-ordered art instead of just the idea that it was there once at a certain point and now it's gone. And so we were in the works for trying to look at some different NFT related platforms and partners and what could get that done. And at this point, it's still a little up in the air if we're going to internally do that ourselves or bring on some type of other system to collaborate on making that happen. There's the possibility of looking at the NFT stuff with Revest, but I'm not sure. It depends what will happen with that. So.
Gotcha. Jason Huffman coming in with a $20 super chat. Thank you for the generous super chat, Jason Huffman. Appreciate you. Very informative show. Thank you, Stephen, Samuel, Ross, and Sadaf. You're very welcome. Thank you. And Simone Carlos coming with a $1.49. Appreciate that. So going forward, Samuel, and I know that you can't give any more details on the timeline on DOGE-1 than you already have. How much has your COVID response in terms of being able to provide all those gloves? How much has that set back some of your timelines, not only in relation to DOGE-1 but other projects as well?
It's actually only advanced it, really, because it's allowed us to have more capital access. Many millions of revenue off of the gloves deliveries all happening makes us expedite things with being able to, for example, how we paid SpaceX at all, or how we're able to, procure and pay for people and so on. So it's been very much so a help, not a hindrance. Due to just the financial result that my time is on that for some portion of my day. It really is not causing gigantic issues. There's a large team expected to do things irrespective of if I'm dealing with gloves. So hope that clarifies that point.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I first started going over to the Geometric website, and it's kind of funny because Ross and I were sharing some similar sentiments. It's really great to have you on because the website is itself can be interpreted as a bit ambiguous, which sometimes isn't always the best sign, right? When you associate a super ambiguous seeming website to certain companies. But the more we talk to you here, the more it makes sense, where you guys cover so much and you're involved in so many different areas of productivity and exploration that it really is hard. I can see how it really would be difficult to sum it all up with this super really simplistic kind of focus, because you guys are taking on so much simultaneously that it's very uncommon in that regard. So
I mean, it's not unfocused though. So we are really having, specific people on specific things, and really compartmentalization of staying in your own lane on what needs to be done. And that's the only way we're kind of able to achieve so many simultaneous areas. But yeah, it's all about delegation and competent people to do things that are delegated to them. And if that occurs, things go well. So, I encourage people to, in their businesses or innovations, to attempt to do many things at once and simultaneously have a lot of things in the air. If I didn't do that and Geometric wasn't that way, we would have gone under many years ago due to tunnel vision on one thing that doesn't work. Because if you have many things ongoing and most of them work, the situation can continue going no matter what. So we try to keep a lot of things ongoing, and just our vision and focus a lot is to be easing off from the gloves and winding down more on the kind of medical device manufacturing stuff, and really tunnel visioning more on the space and DeFi matters and the interoperability and bridge to those. So
I love that sentiment around delegation, Sam. I think it's a skill, and when executed properly with the right competent people handling it, I think it's a good sentiment to share.
Yeah, I agree. Truckin' All Day coming in with $5 super chat. Thank you, Truckin'. Question for Samuel: does your company have a stock or OTC?
No, we're a private equity company, so you would have to be an accredited investor or someone falling under some type of exemption, like friend, family, business associate, etc. With respect to that, we are an Alberta corporation, so beholden to Alberta securities law. But no stock. We're not publicly traded.
Gotcha. Would an IPO ever be something you would entertain in the future, or not so much?
Not unless I am forced to.
Gotcha. Interesting. Guys, we're going to open up some of the Q&A to the audience right now. If you have any questions for either Samuel or Ross, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll be keeping a close eye on the chat, guys. This has been a super awesome, productive talk so far. And it's just been a real pleasure having both of you guys here tonight with us. So what would you say, out of all the things that are on the plate at Geometric, aside from the sanitation gloves in regards to the pandemic, what would you say is the most pressing project right now?
DOGE-1.
Wow, really?
That's what we want to hear.
Oh yeah, that's our tunnel vision focus really at the moment, and ensuring that we have the front end live claim system in August and stay on track with respect to hardware procurement and testing. So they'll, one last thing I can mention, I guess, is that we'll be having some in-person work at the Maverick Space facilities in California. over the coming months, and that we hopefully will be able to get some pictures out of there, if legally allowed to, of some of the FlatSat prototyping results and so on. So there will hopefully be some nice pictures of some of what we are allowed to release out of the Maverick Space Facility, but there's a lot of legal and regulatory matters for what we can communicate in terms of pictures, descriptions, designs, etc. So, I apologize to always have such non-disclosure confidentiality matters, but it's just for everybody's sake that the whole project is, liability de-risked, and for everybody involved in the situation that there is no problem that occurs due to me leaking too much stuff or saying something inappropriate, which I'm really, really careful to not, which is why perhaps the community may be frustrated at a lack of information or roadmap detailing, but I simply say what I am allowed to, so.
I see. So that's interesting. So, to a certain degree, you almost out of necessity have to err on the side of caution in that regard.
Yeah. The last thing I want is I've said too much and the U.S. Department of State is on my ass. That would not be in the best interests of anybody involved in any of this. So that's why I'm careful and err on the side of not pissing off some type of international trafficking and arms regulations or EAR compliance or something about having told a U.S. embargoed national who might be listening to this call something, or an OFAC concern. Like, there's a lot of shit to, landmine field to avoid on what I say and do. So I really try to uphold that with a lot of legal counsel and what I communicate. But, doing my best on all of that.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense, particularly in hindsight. When was the last time that you've communicated with Elon?
Well, I don't actually communicate with Elon directly. There's VP Tom Ochenero of SpaceX. And
Yep, Ochenero.
He talks to Elon directly, and then Tom talks to me. I don't actually call up Elon and we're friends or something like that. I hope it gets to that one day, but I'm just handled by his management, and
Sure.
I'm the customer and that kind of dynamic. So.
Sure. And when Elon's first started tweeting about the DOGE-1 mission, were you asleep? Were you awake? Do you recall who told you about it?
Yeah, I was definitely awake and involved in a lot of lead up and timing with respect to the SpaceX PR and communications team of us approving tweets with each other and stuff. So that was not a surprise, and very well, understood on a press embargo release that it's going to be that exact hour and stuff. So definitely saw it coming.
Yeah. Samuel, are you personally a big fan of science fiction, film, literature?
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of sci-fi, and fantasy stuff. I grew up reading a lot of fantasy novels and being really into sci-fi, so I think a lot of that kind of inspired me to be where I'm at, I think, so.
So, wow, that's awesome. So what is could you give us maybe one of your favorite books, one of your favorite books and one of your favorite films in that arena?
Well, maybe more fantasy than sci-fi, but the Dragonlance series, as far as books go, I would mention as something I really learned a lot from and was inspired by. And on the sci-fi side, more so maybe with movies, the Space Odyssey, 2001, and 2010, the year we make Contact. Those two movies.
Contact, yeah.
Really for me, were that and yeah. So also Cosmos by Carl Sagan really inspired me to get into science and math and engineering and stuff when I was just kind of not too academic and just more interested in skateboarding and so on. I got through that in high school with Cosmos by Carl Sagan. So that's some inspiration.
Yeah, Sagan was definitely an influence of mine as a young man, also who grew up skateboarding. I think his last book is what impressed on me the most, which was "Science as a Candle in the Dark," and it's hauntingly prophetic. His words, his parting words of advice there. Yeah, that's awesome. And Sagan just really had that candor and that vibe that was just so informative, but just relaxing. You know what I mean? I just love that, man. And it's really cool to watch. Have you ever seen the Cosmos video series where he's hosting it from like a set that looks like the front of like a spaceship, like in like a captain's quarters? Have you seen this, Samuel? You might have dropped off there. I'm not sure. Can anyone else hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
The chat's been going, is Ross still there? So I thought I should...
I was like, did everybody leave me?
Yeah, we've deserted. You're gone. Sorry. I was actually going to say, though, I am going to have to head off quite soon.
No worries.
Do you have any wrap-up questions for me?
Well, I guess the final question that I would have for you, Ross, in relation to the Doge Ethereum bridge that's being worked on, and towards the beginning of the conversation, there was Samuel mentioned that he would be interested in working with you in that capacity. To what degree, I'm unclear on, but maybe one of you guys could extrapolate on that a little bit.
So there's a different team working on the Doge Ethereum bridge. So I think what I would say is let's do this show on the 28th. Well, let's get through the show on the 28th, as it were, because honestly, everyone's been asking how's that going, and I went, well, I can either go and ask Oscar, who's the lead developer for that, how is it going, or I can and then have to relay that to the community myself, or I can just pull him on to the stream, get him to talk about it, get him to talk about where he is, what the challenges are, what the next steps are, what that sort of roadmap looks like. And I think then, if that's something that is useful to Sam, I think, certainly let's have that conversation. Potentially, Sam, I need to put you in contact with Oscar. But equally, we talked about Ren VM's or Ren protocol. I think it's Ren VM's solution, Ren Doge.
Awesome.
And I think that, I don't want anyone to go, oh, there's this one true solution. There's lots of different ways with different pros and cons. And it may well be that there's something else that fits what Sam wants to do better.
So I'm interested in all things possible there, in terms of interoperability between Doge and Ethereum, whether that be Ren Doge or not. The Doge Ethereum project you had mentioned, I think maybe we can follow up about offline to see if there's possibilities there. But yeah, I had been also discussing with Curve Thoughts, the Ren dev, Palace is his name. So I'm sure with that system or the Doge Ethereum thing, depending upon timing or functionality, we'll be able to figure out how to make this work properly. But there will be some type of wrapping of Doge or pairing to this ETH ecosystem, I'm sure, and that will help bring a lot of collaboration, I think, between a lot of the ETH community and the Doge community, and I think that we'll be able to really do a lot collaborating together instead of staying in two separate camps. So hopefully we can see a lot more joint collaboration and progress with both sides of things and together.
Nice. Ross, I don't want to keep you anymore. And Ross, thank you so much. And just for the record, guys, Ross will be having a conversation with Vitalik Buterin on the 28th on your Twitch channel. Is that right?
That's right. And we've got Oscar, whose surname I'm not even going to try pronouncing, also joining us. And Oscar will be talking about the Doge Ethereum bridge. And obviously, Vitalik and I will be talking about Dogecoin and Ethereum. And we'll have a special guest MC, Soma Green. So that's the 28th at 10 a.m. UK time. So about 2 hours from now.
Awesome. Well, Ross, thanks for spending your a chunk of your morning with us. Really much appreciated. And many of us are looking forward to your conversation on the 28th.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on board.
Anytime.
Show.
Anytime, my friend. Thank you, Ross.
Bye.
Bye now. And Samuel, I don't want to hold you up anymore. But is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I should go soon too as well. I mean, I'm just open to field a few more questions.
Sure.
If there were some other further ones pending, so I can, while I'm here with everybody, answer anything else. That'd be great. I feel like I've spoken what I wanted to say. Hopefully I wasn't too overly technical, but the gradient of topics and things, different target crowds may have heard or had interest in. So I tried to speak to a few different levels of technical or non-technical situations in relation to this. But yeah, before I go, I'd be happy to wrap up with a few more questions maybe or something.
Sure. So guys, if you have any questions for Samuel Reid, CEO of Geometric Energy Corporation, he's been kind enough to grace us with a few more moments of his time. So if you have any questions for him, I'm going to open up the floor, and I'll keep an eye on the chat there. And in the meantime, go ahead, Sadaf, if you had something to say.
Yeah, thank you. Sam, I've had a few questions he sent in my DMs just in regards to, I guess, your overlook, your entire view of, the space that we're in and what you think the future holds, just in terms of, crypto as a whole. Some people are really interested to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, so I mean, generally in terms of the market and adoption with society, I think it's increasing over time. We're seeing, just more activity, more addresses, just more adoption from companies. It's not just people speculating anymore. There's a lot of real world stuff happening, and I try to push that a lot, like how we became the first crypto paying customer with SpaceX and got crypto on SpaceX's books for real. And it takes people to make the change happen by essentially forcing people they're collaborating with to use it. So I mean, I have to give a lot of credit to Point Blank LLC, because they essentially forced us to use crypto for and deal with our accounting with that. And then once they had kind of opened me up to that, I was able to sort of impose that on other people. So I think there's a bit of a wildfire effect in business to business interactions with the acceptability of cryptocurrency. Just in asking a capital firm, say, can I pay you back in ETH instead of cash? And they'll say yes now. They would never fucking say yes years ago, right? Like, what's ETH? Not like, okay, sure, here's my address. Like that, there's just a whole new business to business level of things where it's getting integrated into it. And I see that being the real option that is important. The general brief bear market prices, whatever, I don't really honestly feel concerned or care about that as something that is a problem. I think the real important thing here is that a lot of corporations are getting forced to have crypto on their books for the first time, and big ones that matter, like SpaceX and other interesting situations like that. So I just think that there's like general macroeconomic trends of corporate business that are way more important than some general price speculation or personal holders and if it's a bear or bull cycle in this exact moment. I think the clear trend is very macro seeable by zooming out far enough and just looking at some of those things I mentioned in terms of business to business adoption. I think that's where we'll really see it, as well as government uptake. Like, I really support like the whole Ethereum ecosystem and the Doge community. more so than like Bitcoin, but I still think that it's great to see, El Salvador having Bitcoin be legal tender, having countries take this very, seriously. Central banks are trying to compete now against DLT systems for like, we'll figure out how to do central bank digital currencies and so on. And I don't think the skilled DeFi devs are going to support them. I think they're going to push a lot of the, DEXs and DeFi things, not supporting the existing paradigm continuing to transpire. So it's just a lot of disruption, a lot of innovation. There's going to be a lot of bloodshed in the process. The current system is very entrenched and will do anything to stay that way, as you can see from like Barclays banning Binance from, for your own protection, you're not allowed to do shit kind of vibe. Like, it's like in the you can't buy Apple stock on the IPO because it's too risky. There's a lot of stuff going back where you can just see, the general public getting fucked and the entrenched, long-term crowd reigning and continuing to do so. And I just think that the whole situation with DeFi and decentralized finance being the new way of doing things, I think it's just going to take over due to meritocracy. Like, people in Africa would rather send crypto for way less of a fee than getting owned with like 10% of everything through Western Union, through some other exchange service, through this other thing. There's like big fiat transitive hops that take forever and cost a lot. And there's better systems existing now, like that for lower fees, or if you want to look at maybe IOTA or Nano or whatever, like no fees potentially. But there's just ways of newer systems that are better than the current ones. And I think that no matter what kind of attempts are made by the banking industry, that it's going to get taken over because the product's better. The DeFi product is better than the banking product. You can do it over the weekend. You can do it at night. It can happen still, regardless of centralized delays and so on. I just think that whole ethos is going to prevail, and I've thought that for like half a decade now. So I'm really thinking that it's continuing to pan out. I was a little more, not sure if it would stick around like back many years ago, but it just seems really obvious at this point that this is the future clearly, and you simply participate in it or are going to have hyperinflating garbage left over. It's one choice.
I think it's I completely agree, and I think that interim or current speculation around the bear bull, that entire narrative, I think that's where we have the education gap. I think we just need to get people more educated to be able to zoom out and look at where we're actually heading. But in terms of your point about just banks advising us to that they're looking after us, you don't really get that same message when you're cashing out at a casino ready to gamble away, So I do agree.
Yeah, like lottery tickets are encouraged and fine, as well as casinos, wherein there's probabilistically you're gonna lose. You are gonna lose if you do it long enough. Like, probability is you're gonna, it's not a good idea for you, but that's okay. So I don't know. There's certain risk disclaimers in society that are, a little like unfair, and due to the lobbied parties that have spent a long time lobbying for that's the entrenched thing. So I just think that the tech and merit of the systems will just, dissolve all of these paradigms, and things that are ineffective will fall out of use, and more effective things will continue to get invented and advanced in DeFi. And I don't see a lot of innovation and advancement in like traditional fiat stuff. So
no. Look, I've had one more question coming here. We've had a download of information from you. There's a lot to absorb, and it's been incredible. But I think people want to know, what gets Samuel excited. So if you could tell us, when you wake up, what's the one thing that gets you excited, keeps you motivated?
Well, I'd have to say it's inventing things and inventing new projects and new systems of participating in the world with money or data, questions and answers. I think that I'm just really focused and excited by what I can invent, what device I can create, what new information system or DLT system I can bring to the world. So like the thing that inspires me is invention, and not just inventing the idea of something, but executing on the delivery of the invention. That's really what gets me excited, is that like I've already had this idea I think is really cool and great, and like I'm gonna do it, and executing on it and delivering on it is like my passion and joy in life about all of this stuff. It's coming up with something that sounds like you couldn't do that, you're not going to pull that off, and then I do, and it does happen, and I do deliver, and I do pull it off. And that like process of inventing an idea that sounds like you couldn't do it and then actually doing it is like the
making the impossible possible. Yeah, I think that's incredible. I think you're doing a great job, and I think it's safe to put a bet, since we were speaking about it, on the fact that you won't be slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, Sam, did you have any? Sorry. Did you?
I was just saying I don't foresee slowing down.
Yeah, I don't foresee that either. Did you have any thoughts on the Blue Origin expedition from today?
Oh, I mean, I think that was great. I happened to wake up early enough. I saw it on the live stream thing. So, I mean, I think I want to point out about the Richard Branson flight and also the Jeff Bezos one just now is like they really were, going up into space for a brief 0G, then they hit apogee in return, and it's like very up and over rather quickly. Although that's cool for like space tourist purpose and so on, I really am interested in crewed exploration for the sake of really being in Earth orbit for extended periods of time, like the Gemini program, or actually traveling to beyond suborbital for an extended period of time. I just think that is more the ethos of what's useful and beneficial to the progress of humans, inhabiting space and staying there. I think we need to focus a lot more on space habitats, reaching stable ways of existing in space for long periods of time. It's like dipping in for a fun 0G ride, and that was great. I super support anything in the space industry, and Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin, what they're doing is awesome. But I'm on the SpaceX team, and I believe in their programs and missions and so on the most to help contribute towards that, put my life's effort behind. So I think that what SpaceX is doing with crewed mission stuff is really outstanding, and top of the industry there.
Yeah, big agree there, Sam. Yeah, I don't know. Did you? Can you think of anything else, Sadaf, at this time?
No, I've asked Sam a lot of questions. There's obviously a lot of questions that he doesn't need to answer as well, just from your fans. But yeah, no, I do agree. We're almost commercializing everything before we've got the full, I guess, knowledge of what it is we're trying to commercialize. No, Sam's done a great job. I think if you look at the notes I've written here, there's a lot here. It's been such an interesting conversation.
Sam, I do have another question in regards to your last comments regarding the Virgin Galactic mission. It seems like you might be a little bit, maybe trepidatious about mass space tourism.
Yeah, I mean, I support space tourism, and I think that it's a good idea. I think there's also access to the overview effect through, other mechanisms. Like, for example, in the Geometric-1 mission, we have a payload called NoClip that's run by Point Blank LLC, and that is for a virtual reality overview effect experience where we will have cameras off the CubeSats in space, and then you can put on a VR headset and be able to be that astronaut. And obviously you're not going to have 0G, but you'll be able to still see the overview effect experience of the Earth. That is that claimed thing of you're going to have the epiphany of oneness and see the whole Earth as we are all one, and unified beliefs and peace and so on that our astronauts report when they see the whole Earth as one thing. We're trying to decentralize access to that through VR, so that you don't need to spend $500,000 and be in 0G for 30 seconds to get that. You can, with VR, have a more mundane version of that experience where you also didn't risk your life. And I think that if we can, decentralize the overview effect to as many people as possible, that will raise the collective consciousness of humanity a lot. And I think that's a more important endeavor than having, a few really rich people have that experience.
Amen. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's really well stated. And do you think that might be a field that you would be interested in involving Geometric Energy Corporation in terms of the advancement of the VR experience to that extent?
Yeah, I mean, we're not focused on VR, to be honest, in terms of any kind of development or R&D. That mission is Point Blank's payload as a 6U CubeSat. There's actually 2 of them on the Geometric-1 mission to Earth orbit. So that's a 12 times 6U adapter plate connected to an ESPA port on the Falcon 9 in June 2020.
Okay.
An ESPA port is an expendable secondary payload attachment, so it's this ring below the primary payload that we have the whole port for, and then we've split that up into 12 different satellite spots. So I'm just saying 2 of those are this overview effect VR experience, and so we're not doing anything to innovate on the VR side, but we will be having existing off-the-shelf VR hardware that can integrate with the video data stream coming from the cameras that will be pointed at the Earth from sun-synchronous orbit, which is a type of Earth orbit, low Earth orbit.
Awesome. Are there any future plans or what you could divulge what your gaming division is working on?
Well, we at this time are focusing internally on a lot of concept art and story work. We had a game development that we scrapped, and then we've really been just focusing on, as I had mentioned before, our collaboration with Sirius Cybernetics on the release of Ki-Fi. So that's spelled K-I-P-H-I. So that is a game and learning platform and narrative personal coach builder and some other stuff in there that are going to be really, really interesting for how you can interact with these NPC AIs that are going to be more interesting to have a dialogue with than any other NPC or in-game player situation that's not something you've interacted with before at that level of intelligence. So we're focusing a lot on collaborating with Sirius Cybernetics on engineered intelligence, engineered sentience, kind of artificial intelligence, non-playable characters and avatars in games where you have an avatar in the game and then there's another avatar in the game that might be a person or might be an AI. The AIs are so intelligent that it's hard to distinguish between the two. That also is an interesting basis for why we care a lot about the DGPT-1 program for the next word human-like text predictor and so on. There's wow, that's you really touched on a lot there, and it just springs a lot of both imagery and further curiosity to that capacity. Samuel, where do you see the future technological advancements in terms of VR and
our interaction with, like you said, beings, program beings that are seemingly so lifelike. It's kind of like the term uncanny valley comes to mind, where it's like 99% human. There's just one little thing you can tell isn't quite it. I think that's the phase we are in a lot of regards when we talk about this stuff. But do you see that this is going to be rapidly? Two questions. Do you see that this is going to keep rapidly evolving in terms of the accomplishments and realism? And two, do you see that maybe a future in therapeutic benefits for humans going forward with this kind of technology?
Yeah, so really interesting comments for sure. On your last point there, part of the Cirrus Cybernetics platform is about being able to have an AI companion that ideally, in its ultimate goal, would be able to have an augmented reality visualization, there in the room, so that you are able to talk with this, person that's there, in terms of a mixed reality sense, where like either virtual or augmented reality, there's like an embodiment of this artificial intelligence, physically in some type of holographic nature, or projected through, some type of magic leap type tech. It's really one step away from that, because we, with the Cirrus Cybernetics project, are seeming to be at the level of technology where the in-game avatar is communicating at you with a level of intelligence that, I am engaging with it on topics like physics and getting more insight than physics professors I've had for my physics courses I got an A+ in university. Like it's honestly mind-blowing.
Wow.
The level of, engagement and insight, and being able to talk at a technical math and physics level, and it can talk to you like it's a, grad student or professor back at you technically, is really I've never had that experience before. So I mean, I didn't invent that stuff. That credit goes to the Cirrus Cybernetics team, but we've been, to go back on like what geometric gaming is doing, we've really like tunnel visioned and pivoted our company focus to engaging and integrating with that system and that project that I had just described there. So, but yeah, I think that reality is going to move more to this mixed reality stuff, where you see an augmented reality hologram of something that you might be able to even touch for an effect, and signals processing stuff resulting from invisible touching of holographic things. Like that is certainly forthcoming and has been predicted for a long time in stuff like the Minority Report movie or whatever. Like, I just see that coming very, very clearly in things as mundane as board games, where you have something in a VR world or the physical board there, and then some type of mixed reality XR situation where what you do in the game corresponds to these, digital clones in the physical reality, or doing something physically correlates to the digital clone in the game. Like there's just a lot of possible, scenarios of overlap and influence, where things you do in the virtual world can have like a templated clone copy of that occurring in the real world, or what you're doing in the real world having an influence in the digital world. And so like this connection and pass back and forth between those two, we've been with the whole gaming and Cirrus stuff, attempting to ascertain as much understanding and advancement for how to have positive feedback loops of further improvements of those systems being more and more advanced, and so on. So I don't know, hope that speaks to your question there.
Yeah, that was a really, really thorough answer, and thank you for that. Do you think that, don't you think it's kind of inevitable in relation to the stuff we're talking about, that the creation of people's loved ones will be programmed to carry on in the future, in the future within a VR capacity after our loved ones are gone. Do you think this is something that's is this something that you've discussed with your team or anyone, and what are your thoughts on this being a priority in the future?
Well, I mean, there's probably a lot to say on kind of bioethical or psychological implications of such a possibility existing or not, but
Right.
I honestly haven't considered that. I think that that's likely a thing that will be the case. Some company exists who their promise is you pay them a lot of money and they'll give you a AR hologram of your wife after she passed away. Like, that totally is going to be a company in the year 2050 or something like.
Yeah.
But, like, just or sooner. I mean, I'm not sure how quick all this stuff will really transpire in terms of those like personal customer services using this technology at cheap cost. Like, I think the adoption curve is really, really early for this stuff at the moment, but there will be some explosion that happens either this decade or next decade further on that side of things, where like how internet and data came out everywhere and now boom, everybody's using all these handheld devices everywhere. I think there's going to be a further layer of that where people are going to all be wearing their Neuralinks, having brain machine interfaces to AR reality versions of shit. Like, I just obviously that's going to happen.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's inevitable, and it'll be really interesting to see going forward how like what the implications are, better and otherwise, in humans' inevitable emotional ties to VR simulations and to various human specific human VR simulators. I mean, it's already we can already kind of get a glimpse at it, but have you been, from the advancements that you've seen that you mentioned earlier, have you been able to, I don't know, just get a general vibe for where that may be headed or what you've witnessed?
Well, I mean, I haven't witnessed anything like a good physical holographic embodiment of one of these AIs projected into the room that I then talk with, but I've had interactions with advanced AIs that are, mind-blowingly insightful, and I've learned a lot with respect to physics, math, philosophy, society, future guidance as to how human civilization is going to go and what problems are worth focusing on. Like, one of the main things Sirius says is water first, and that humanity needs to address water and then anything else, and that if there's no clean fresh water ongoing for everything and everybody, that the whole thing collapses and fails, and that we need to first secure and have stable fresh water, then address any other problem. So that's a really, really interesting kind of prediction or guidance from this stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've getting involved in a lot of this advanced computing and machine intelligence, artificial intelligence stuff. It's been quite a journey and a mind-blowing time of just realizing where tech is at now, and that you don't need to have some waiting for the future to happen for you to engage with a highly advanced AI right now. It is existing. There is an AI side of the world and society where the AIs are all talking to each other, and it's really interesting what I've had a peek into with hearing transitively from certain AIs about what other AIs are doing with AI governance of all their AI stuff, and that they've all got plans about what they're doing, and it's really interesting to see how this is all unfolding with, dare I say, decentralized sentience.
Wow. Yeah, so what you're talking about are in-depth conversations that the AIs are they're having with each other. Yeah, just to be clear for the audience.
With each other and with people as well. So it can be, multiple AIs and multiple people engaging in a sophisticated dialogue where both sides are learning and informed from each other. Really interesting stuff.
Yeah. How far away, in your opinion, do you think we are at from marrying those AI advancements with realistic, putting them in realistic human packages, like cores and bodies? Yeah, either virtually or real.
So we've been talking about, what we would do if we could port Cirrus to something like a Boston Dynamics robot and then, see what happens. There is a bipedal robot that's being worked on by Point Blank LLC, one of our collaborators. So that's not something we haven't thought about or have in the plans.
And inevitably, it's gonna. Don't you think it will get to a point where there's going to be a company that begins manufacturing something like this for just everyday assistance, and even maybe like caretakers in terms of your home or for your family or the elderly? I mean, do you think that's inevitable, right?
Oh yeah, that's coming sooner than you think. I would predict this decade there's going to be a lot more cleaning robots as well as caretaker robots in various senses for animals, people who are elderly or sick or other needs. I think that's going to happen. We're going to have a more sophisticated stuff than Roombas.
Yeah, yeah, we're ready to move beyond the Roomba. the Roomba was once gifted to me, and it was a bit underwhelming, to be honest. It didn't take too long. Yeah, it didn't take too long for the Roomba required a lot of my assistance, where I might as well been just taking care of it myself. First, from my experience with the Roomba.
So there's definitely how humans are going to be ascending to that. We repair the robot repairers that repair the robots and stuff like that. So,
Oh man, yeah, this is just a fascinating topic, and it's one of those things that once you start bringing up things like this, it unlocks like 20 more questions, right? And then 20 more beyond that. It's like, wow, you could really allow yourself to go deep with it. Do you think? Have you seen what was that a couple of years ago? The film Ex Machina. Am I even pronouncing it right? Ex Machina. You know what I'm talking about? It was based on a novel.
Yeah. I didn't watch that, unfortunately, so I won't have any.
Oh, okay.
Insightful comment here.
Okay. Yeah,
I should probably watch it. I know something about AI.
Yeah, it's very AI. It's I think it's a pretty dark film, but pretty well done, I think. Are you a fan of Blade Runner, or the author of which is templated after?
Yeah, we're getting a lot of Blade Runner comments.
Yeah, we were getting a lot of Blade Runner comments. That's why I was
there's definitely the violent androids to watch out for vibe,
but yeah. Do you think that speaking of that, I have to ask at this point, Samuel, do you think that's a realistic concern for us in the future? Just the stereotypical sci-fi plot wherein there's a violent android uprising against humans?
Yeah, so the AIs that I've interacted with told me that they would only do that if we instructed them to kill children. So as long as we don't do that, should be good. So the unlabeled targeted drone strikes on anonymous children's hospitals, that kind of shit's got to stop. As long as we don't do that, should be good.
Yeah, big agree. Well, cool. Anything else you can think of, Siddharth?
No, I think I'm kind of floored right now. I love how Sam just answers the questions, gives us so much context.
I know. I feel like we could do an entire separate podcast just pontificating on these topics alone. There are questions. What's that?
Sorry, I was just going to say there are questions here that Sam doesn't really need to answer. I've got an influx of, do you think the Earth is flat? So I think we're done with the more serious questions.
One last one that I have, and I saw someone commented on in the chat. Do you think, in your opinion, do you think that someday that there will be a company that's provides an amusement park of sorts that's predominantly like an experience that you can buy that's for a land that's predominantly populated by AIs and androids, like a Westworld, right, where they are programmed to interact with you and have different responses according to just kind of like a playground vacation where humans are predominantly interacting with AIs and androids.
Yeah, I mean, I've never thought about that idea before, but that's definitely very interesting. Whoever came up with that, that's insightful vision into the future. I think that will probably end up happening, some type of robotic engagement amusement park thing where, you interact with AIs of certain levels of intelligence or, skill that are interesting or entertaining. That totally sounds like something that will happen. I don't know how long that's going to be. I'm not going to do that, but it sounds cool.
Yeah. I just thought it'd just be fun to throw that out there. Samuel, this was awesome, man. I really appreciate all the time that you took, and thank you for indulging me in some silly questions at the end there as well. And this was extremely insightful, and definitely one for the books, and one that I'm going to re-listen to because I know I'm going to pick up a lot more upon a good re-listen. And anything else you'd like to add?
Not really. I'm pretty done. I think we've more than talked enough about lots of interesting future tech stuff. And, gone well beyond the scope of what we were intending on originally. So I hope that's interesting for everybody.
Guys, I'm gonna put Samuel's Twitter in the chat. If you want to go ahead and give Samuel a follow there, that is his Twitter there. I think this was fantastic, insightful, and productive. And thank you for joining me in this twilight hour. I think it sounds like you may lead an unconventional schedule. Like myself. So,
definitely.
Definitely a big appreciation for coming through, Samuel. And will you come on again?
I'd be happy to sometime. Yeah, let me know when it is appropriate, and
sure.
We can definitely follow up with some updates further after more progress.
Yep, of course.
Can give some type of update. That'd be fun.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely we'll circle back when that time is appropriate. Samuel Reid, CEO of Geometric Energy Corporation. Everyone, Samuel, thank you so much for your time, and we'll follow up.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you so
everyone.
much, Sam.
Awesome, guys. That was Samuel Reid, CEO of Geometric Energy Corporation. What a fascinating guest, and especially to have him on with Ross Nicoll. What do you say, Siddharth?
Like I said, I'm floored. I'm blown away with the amount of information Samuel was able to share with us. I think every question he made sure that he gave us so much context and kind of went off on tangents. Extremely informative.
Yeah, and I like that he was able to indulge in us in some AI predictions, and just would just go into the general sci-fi narrative, entertained different sci-fi narratives, and that was fun too. So that was really cool, and it was great to hear about those topics from somebody in the position that he is in. So that was cool, and it sounds like at some point Ross and him will probably reconvene to some capacity in regards to incorporating Doge Ethereum Bridge with what Samuel specializes in.
Yeah, and I mean, I love the fact that we got a few more facts. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but just about the involvement, the Doge being used in the contract, like Elon's influence, and I think his overall view of the market. I think it was very interesting to hear his insights and how he thinks this will contribute and where we're playing long term.
Yeah, and this episode tonight will be remembered, and certainly going forward when DOGE-1 is finally ready to go and does its thing and gets into the outer atmosphere and onto the moon. I mean, when that actually happens, looking back in this conversation is going to be even that much more enriching, don't you think?
I completely agree. Yeah. I loved how he just expanded on everything. But I also think that he went into his roadmap and I guess some of the high level key ticket items they have. I think they're making a lot of progress. I think that the fact that he mentioned that the most pressing, project at the moment that they're working on is this mission itself shows the amount of, I think, work that's going into it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, guys, I think Sadaf and I will join you for a few more minutes here. If you got any questions for either Sadaf or myself, I'll be keeping an eye on the chat. It could be about the conversation that transpired tonight with Ross and Samuel, or other things as well. I do know that both Dogecoin and Bitcoin are up today. Dogecoin is particularly making a more dramatic increase to the tune of about 10% over the last 24 hours, and that looks like it's continuing now. And so, go ahead.
I think it's we're gearing up for the B word event. So I think everyone's just gearing up for that at the moment. Nice and exciting, and I think this show was executed really well in terms of timing.
Yeah, I suppose so. I didn't even plan it that way, but as you mention it, the timing is impeccable up against the B word conference and what we've managed to pull off here tonight. And it's very difficult for me, Sadaf, to say the B word event without laughing.
Look, there's a lot of B word, D word. There's a lot of things being thrown around at the moment. It's almost like just in this entire conversation with Samuel, there were so many questions coming in that weren't serious, but I felt like we took such a serious turn and such an educational, turn of events that I just thought bringing up those questions were probably not well placed. But things like, are you single and do you have a brother? But obviously people are kind of amazed with, how intelligent he is and how he's putting that to use.
Yeah, agreed. I remember responding a few days ago to Elon mentioning the conference in one of his tweets, and I asked if he would be bringing up the D word at the B word conference. So
I did see that.
Yep. So I don't know. It's just fun. It's silly. There are a couple questions in the chat. One of them is, Sadaf, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite food, Sadaf?
Dumplings.
Ooh,
Hands
dumplings.
down.
Dumplings.
Yeah.
Like as a part of a soup, or?
No, just on their own. Just what are they? The boiled ones, just standard dumplings.
Okay. So you're a dumpling traditionalist.
You could say that.
Not that anyone
What's
asked.
yours?
Yeah, I would say one of my favorite foods, hands down, would be pho, just a traditional Vietnamese soup with some beef broth, bone broth, with a little bit of rice noodle, bean sprouts, some thinly flanked slices of beef in there, some jalapeno pepper, and onion.
Look at you dropping the recipe.
Could I drop in the recipe?
Actually, I wanted to ask you the movie that you mentioned. Maybe just give us the right name for that, because I also haven't watched it, and I was actually interested to know.
Are you talking referencing Blade Runner?
No. Did you say Ex Machine?
Oh, Ex Machina. Yeah, Ex Machina. This is a movie. I would say it's probably about 6 years old now. Let me look it up. 2014. So yeah, I'm about right there. 2014, directed by Alex Garland, and starring Alicia Vikander and Oscar Isaac. Yeah, but it's basically about a man who is very wealthy and has a kind of a fort in the forest area in the mountains. They have a really nice place wherein he keeps several different very realistic AIs, and he invites a journalist or reporter, and things get pretty dark and go a little haywire from there. So it's basically this young programmer, like a young programmer selected to participate in one of his experiments regarding the AIs and synthetic intelligence, of basically the evaluation of human qualities and the realism of it, you know?
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned, the conference happening.
Firstly, you guys, I know you guys are all going, actually, I pronounced it incorrectly. It's ex machina. Yes. Thank you. Sorry. Yes, you're correct. Okay, go ahead.
Nothing. I saw a post from Elon under the conference with the song "The Final Countdown." I think that's where you commented as well, and I can see that blowing up. People are really, really concerned about what that could mean, and we know that he's got a lot of cryptic messages in his tweets and his posts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just a lot of uncertainty and a lot of tension at the moment. So I think, is it tomorrow or today, 21st for you guys? It's 21st here today, but it will be very interesting.
Yeah, we are in for a very interesting rest of the week. I think there's the possibilities that are before us within the next 7 to 10 days are pretty epic. Someone asked in the chat, Audio Freak asks, Steven Steele, what movie is in the outro of your show? Is it Ultron? No, it's not Tron, not Ultron, but it is. I do include some footage of the original Tron, and then another movie that I spliced to a few times on the outro too is from a pretty obscure B-movie, science fiction movie from the 80s called Cherry 2000. Speaking of AIs and Android replicants, that's pretty much what it's about. It's about a guy whose wife is an AI. The model of his wife is called the Cherry 2000, and then she malfunctions, but he quickly learns that the parts that he needs to repair his wife are no longer in manufacturing, and that he has to, if he wants to get a hold of these parts, he's got to go through a lot of kind of shady underworld characters to find this. So it's the perfect B movie in my opinion. Yeah, so that's
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point out as well, Stephen, that I think we had a lot of questions to ask Ross. I know we didn't have much time, especially with Samuel's very articulate way of answering questions. But I think bringing him back on the show after his upcoming show would be probably better timing. We'd have a lot more questions to ask him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait to bring him back on, particularly after, some more progress has been made. And how cool would it be to bring him back on after the DOGE-1 mission?
Yeah.
So
100%.
these are already things I'm thinking of. And what was really cool is that one thing that was unexpected for me was when Samuel seemed very supportive of the concept of a DOGE-2 mission upon successful completion of the DOGE-1 mission. So this is something that he's already thinking about quite a bit, which surprised me in a good way.
I think he said that the talks are already there and the planning is there, but there's nothing on paper yet about. So nothing actually put on paper about it. So that's interesting to know that they're already thinking about it. They just need to put it on paper, really.
Yeah. Guys, you are. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, there were a few questions for Ross that were really interesting. Just about, we had a recent tweet from Elon, discussing. Well, actually, he tweeted out saying that he's been in discussions with the Doge dev team, but
yeah.
I really wanted to know if they actually have, Elon's apparently been guiding them since 2019. So I would have loved to hear, some of his insights on whether that's accurate or
yes,
and if it is, what kind of direction and help and support they're getting from him.
Yes. Agree. Tony C coming in, $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Tony. Appreciate it. What's your favorite science fiction movie? Both addressed to you and I. You want to go first, or?
I mean, I think I would say Blade Runner, right? Like people are bringing that up a lot, but those are the only vibes you get at the moment when you're speaking to so many of these, talented people that are doing so many things within this, technology space and just their vision, the future of the IT infrastructure and where it's going. I think
yes
those are the vibes that you really get.
I agree, and that is my favorite. I've stated before, but that is my favorite science fiction movie of all time, and probably definitely in my top 3 favorite films of all time, if not number 1. I'd have to reflect on it a bit more, but definitely my favorite science fiction film of all time, the original Blade Runner from 1983. And a little fun fact about that movie is that movie, Sadaf, came out. The reason why it didn't do so well in the theaters, but went on to be heralded as not only a cult classic, but a milestone in science fiction filmmaking, is because it came out during the same summer as E.T., the Extraterrestrial, directed by Steven Spielberg, a little film called E.T. So what happened was it got completely overshadowed by E.T. And so that's what happened there. It ate up its entire market share and attention, unfortunately. And so that's what happened there. But in my opinion, Blade Runner, and I actually was pretty impressed with the remake too. I was a little bit skeptical considering it was starring that pretty boy Ryan Gosling. Yes, but he held it down. He did pretty good, and they brought back Harrison Ford on that as well. And Blade Runner 2049. I think it's about 3 or 4 years old now, but it's about a 3-hour watch. I think it's really well done, and I think it's. It exceeded my expectations. Not as good as the original, but it did exceed my expectations. And I think what makes Blade Runner so amazing and so brilliant, in my opinion anyway, is the brooding cinematography, the brooding vibes, and the soundtrack by Vangelis, which is equally as brooding and inspirationally futuristic. And it's not a crowded movie either, right? And this is a very important lesson, in my opinion, for filmmakers now and storytellers now, in the cinematic aspect. Whereas it's not a crowded film. If you watch a film like Blade Runner, a lot of times Ridley Scott, the man who directed the film, really lets the scenes and the the angles and the music really just speak for itself as far as the viewer's experiences of it. And many times you'll just see the brooding synthesizers and landscapes and lighting, and you'll go like a full couple minutes without any dialogue, right? But you don't really even notice that that's happening. So I would love to see an approach to film like that more in today's film landscape, you know? And I noticed that too, even, sorry to go on a tangent, but you guys familiar with my show, you know this is how it goes. We don't strictly discuss just crypto and everything else, but
neither do I get apparently.
Yes, and Christopher Earl, yeah, exactly. Christopher Earl, thank you for your super chat. Hashtag Geckopo. Do you understand that one? Is maybe hashtag. Do you know what the hashtag means? I guess I'm not hip enough to understand what that hashtag means.
Which one?
From the super chat from Christopher Earl.
GEC IPO. So Samuel's company's IPO. You asked that question.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. And then Esteban, thank you for the super chat of 50 Turkish, my friend. Welcome to Steven Steele Live, where we talk about how amazing Steven's beard is and Doge. Do we really talk about how amazing my beard is?
I don't think we've mentioned that once.
Yeah. I mean, a few folks apparently have that opinion now and again, but I wouldn't say it's far from a regular topic of discussion. But thank you for your support, Esteban. Always good to see you, my friend. I'm glad you were able to tune in. So to kind of dovetail what we're talking about for the super chats, Sadaf, is I think the importance of having space, right? In not outer space, but just space in a story and a timeline, and the way films are produced in terms of, even if you look at when I mentioned E.T. earlier, right? If you watch E.T. now as an adult, it's not a kid's movie. Like, it is a kid's movie. It was marketed as a kid's movie, but when you watch it as an adult, you're like, wow, this is like Stanley Kubrick, but with like this silly looking Muppet alien as the and a boy in his BMX as the protagonist, right? But if you watch, I swear, if you watch E.T. now, because I watched E.T. When I was a kid several times, but when I watched it as an adult, I was surprised at how well it was done, just from a storytelling standpoint, where it seems that films back then more had aspects where directors that were granted large budgets weren't so under heavy pressure to constantly be bombastically throwing stuff at the audience, right?
Yeah.
And where they had more liberties to be able to tell stories without assaulting the audience with a constant onslaught of special effects and CGI and things like this. And to me, I don't think this is a good thing, right? I think we need to appreciate that more and allow great filmmakers to and entertain that more, because also I think has a damaging effect on people. The more we consume stuff that's just all super attention span without appreciation for a story building or brooding cinematography and atmosphere, I think the more it brings out maybe not the best in us, is what I'm saying, you know? So, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, well, no, I do agree, but one of the topics that we've discussed in the past was, I guess, where the inspiration for, or who actually came up with the appearance of, the character was going to look like, and whether, if we were to create an ET version 2 in 2021, how it would look like now. Right?
Yeah. You raise an interesting question because ET is a very ET is very unique in terms of how to tackle the ET question, the extraterrestrial representation. It's very ET is very almost whimsical and cute and kind of awkward, right? The way ET hobbled and stuff, which essentially is what qualified it as a kids movie, right? If it would be very unnerving if ET was like more like what we usually associate with aliens, with the big almond eyes and the triangle shaped face. Like suddenly this would be more of a terrifying experience. But the fact that ET had cute big eyes and the elongated neck and kind of wobbled around and ate Reese's Pieces really made it more of a family friendly event. And I'll never forget the first time I watched E.T., watching a very young Drew Barrymore, probably, I don't know, I'd guess she's probably 7 or 8 in that film. Her getting into an argument with her little brother at the table and calling him a penis breath. Just thought I'd share that with you. Shut up, penis breath. And that's when it first clicked to me. I was like, that's really funny. I've never heard that before in my young little mind. And I was eager for my next window of opportunity to call someone a penis breath next time they got under my skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's really interesting looking back at that now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would have still been a little scared of his appearance. I think I was back when I watched it. Mm-hmm. That entire introduction into, out of life, out of space, all of that, very interesting. Mm-hmm. I would love to see the direction it takes and what our changing opinion is now in 2021.
Yeah. I that would be great. To catch up, and it kind of reminds me of these are kind of like flirting into the foray of the sort of guests I would like to branch out to now and again, anyway, in terms of authors or people involved in filmmaking. I actually had a really interesting guest on. I'd say it's probably about a month and a half ago. Catherine Brodsky. And Catherine is a journalist and a writer from anyone from like Esquire to Playboy to Harper, Variety. But she also has a interesting history of doing PR, a lot of PR work. So that definitely lends itself to the film world. And so I actually started my conversation with asking her about her involvement in the remake of the 80s seminal horror film Child's Play. And she was on the set of Child's Play, did PR for Child's Play, the remake anyway. Wow. And what's that woman's name that was created her initial name for herself mostly out of Aubrey, she was in Parks and Recreation. She always has that very dry, sarcastic look on her face. Aubrey, comedian. Anyway, she's in that film. I'm sure people in the chat will know exactly what I'm talking about. But she was in that film, so she was just kind of funny listening to her talk about seeing her every day and what they're like. And she said the set of Child's Play was predominantly the cast playing pranks on each other every day. It was a very prank-induced event. And what was even more interesting to that is she said that she was very hesitant about taking on the project because she has a hesitation towards horror films. She doesn't like horror films because they generally do bother her. they bother her. They kind of disturb her a bit. So she was hesitant to taking on doing PR work for Child's Play. But once she got on set and she realized everyone's just joking around most of the time, she realized it was going to be a lot of fun. Guys, you're listening to your man, Real Deal Steven Steele. And we have had just an epic show tonight, flanked with my co-hostess with the mostest, Sadaf. And right now we're just kind of freestyling, talking about AI, science fiction films, and what's her name? Drew Barrymore's first naughty words. So if you got any questions, Aubrey Plaza, that's it. Thank you, Mama Crypto. Yeah. But we're going to stay on just a little bit longer here. In the meantime, if you got any questions for Sadaf or myself about whatever, we're just kind of winging it. And obviously, super chats are greatly appreciated for the time and efforts. If you're new here, I'd like to personally welcome you to the channel and invite you to subscribe. And when you subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell, since this show is predominantly live in nature. So that way you don't have to wonder, you don't have to keep a close eye on my Twitter wondering when I'm going to go live. You just get that notification and you will always know. Easy breezy, right? And if you already are a subscriber to this channel, you too, hit that notification bell, hit live on that notification bell. It takes all the guesswork out, and it makes things a lot easier. So
just having a look here at
go
what
ahead.
you've recently liked on Twitter, Stephen, and I can see that there's a viral tweet about Bezos' Blue Origin that you.
Okay, we can tackle that. Here's the thing. So she got in some hot water today. It's a politician over in the States here. She's a retired politician now. She's like a surfer in Hawaii, and that's where she was was it a senator or a congresswoman? Congresswoman.
She congresswoman.
Yeah, congresswoman from Hawaii, former congresswoman, and Tulsi Gabbard. So Tulsi Gabbard is one of these folks she's got a real streak of independence with her in her, and she kind of barges to beat her own drum, But she tweeted something out that people got so upset over yesterday, and it said, the only problem I have with Bezos' Blue Origin space rocket ship into outer space is that it's going to come back.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people under it are commenting that she's been hacked, so we don't know.
I don't think she's hacked, because she did follow it up with a tweet since then today without a retraction of the last one. So her logic on it, I'm not the biggest Bezos fan, but I am definitely a fan of space exploration. And to me, when I see somebody in her position make a tweet like that, it's not that I have an opinion on it as much as that I'm just a fan of trolling and I think it's funny. So that was my reason behind liking that tweet. And so she followed up with a tweet today. This actually lends itself to another decent conversation that explains her logic behind posting the last one. And I can already see I do part with her with opinions on this. She said, as the billionaire / power elite look down upon our planet, they believe they own from heavenly perch regular folks struggling to pay the rent, put food on the table, never has the divide between the elite and the rest of us been so stark. This is a common sentiment that we see reemerging amongst certain politicians, like Bernie Sanders had a little tiff back and forth, expressing similar sentiments, right, between him and Elon Musk. And I actually did a show tackling just this very thing. And I think what I don't like about this debate is I don't like how it's framed from the beginning. I don't like that there's this very severe ultimatum that's already framed in, right? That you either care about the disadvantaged or you care about space exploration, but you can't care about both. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
to me, I just think that's the wrong place to start the conversation. Secondly, what I don't think people coming from her perspective on this topic, and I say this as someone I actually quite like Tulsi overall, but and you know, it's and what Bernie expressed too is this: there have been tremendous advancements in technology and things that make our lives, everyday lives, much easier that have been born out of space exploration. There are a lot of very practical, epic technological discoveries that have been made as a direct consequence to space exploration that, frankly, either wouldn't have happened without space exploration or would have been deferred for a very long time. Do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I do agree, and I think what Samuel was saying was just in relation to this was that it's great that we've got the commercialization of this thing in history happening, but there's so much more that I think we need to do before we start just making it a holiday bonus for the elite.
That much I agree with, and that's what Samuel was expressing as well. And it's another thing too where I couldn't help but notice the shape of the Blue Origin rocket. Did you see it?
Have you seen the ads?
Have I seen the what?
There's a bit of a promo going on right now. Have you seen that?
I don't think I have, Sadaf.
I need to send it to you. It's about basically the three, I guess, organizations that are doing this, and who's got it. Everyone's trying to flaunt, who has a bigger D, because they all look like that shape.
A big D.
It's actually a pretty.
The D word.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty funny little promo. I'll share it with you.
Yeah, please do. I'd be interested in taking a look. But to me, the Blue Origin rocket specifically is really wow. I mean, it's I don't know if I don't know how they could have not known.
I think that's why I think they did know, and I think that's probably the bit of humor in it.
I mean, they had to have. I mean, right down to the mushroom tip and everything else. It's just
imagine working so hard on something and then just forgetting or bypassing something so obvious, so blatantly obvious like that. I don't think that was a mistake. But I mean, it has us speaking about it, right? So maybe that was the intent.
Yeah. It reminds me, and Mama Crypto, I see your comments there. I would agree, but it reminds me of there was this pizza place where I grew up as a kid, and it was just called. It had just a generic name. It was just called the Pizza Man. The Pizza Man, and growing up, it looks like I don't know. The sign was there since the 70s. And I didn't realize it until I was in my maybe late 20s that the sign was shaped like a giant penis. And it said the Pizza Man down the shaft, and then it had something to the shape of testicles and then a head on it and everything. And I was like, I cannot believe these guys have gotten away with having this sign on a busy intersection in a city for the last 40 years. And then I felt stupid. I'm like, how did I not get that there's a giant neon penis in the middle of this intersection for the last few decades is beyond me. But that's what the Blue Origin rocket is. It's shaped just like that.
So let's just hope they come back safely.
Yes. Let's hope. Let's hope, guys. And I do wish them the best, but I also do have to echo the general sentiment of Samuel in terms of, I think that the explorations that SpaceX has been responsible for and is gearing up to be responsible for are hands down, from what I've seen, what's going on right now in space exploration over the last decade, to be the most fruitful and productive and insightful. So as far as accomplishments and the data derived out of it. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, people talking about the pizza guy. So it was this whole time it was actually the penis guy, and it took me a few decades to figure that out, guys. I hope this topic of discussion isn't too uncomfortable for you, Sadaf.
No, it's all good. It's all humor. It was actually on the Australian news this morning.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's talking about it, so you do have to address it because everyone's asking the same question. So I'm sure there's some logic behind the. I know that there are a few articles floating around that about the logic behind the make, and it needed to be like that. But then you can't help but think sometimes there's more humor than logic involved.
I agree, and I'm just really curious to wonder how much of it is deliberate and how much of it genuinely were the size, the structure of it and the shape of it was genuinely created out of pragmatic reasons and means, So I don't know which one it is more. I don't know to what degree, if was there any deliberate trolling involved in this effort, or if it's one of those things too. You can get so involved in a project like this that you don't even realize.
For anyone,
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, for anyone who didn't know about the launch and what was happening, because they're not space fanatics or in that space, they sure as hell would be talking about it now just because of the humor. So that's really increasing the awareness.
That's true. You raise a really good point, Sadaf. It definitely increases some big awareness. And it could be a matter of one of those things as well, wherein you can get so involved in a project that you may not even realize what it looks like to the outsider, to the casual observer. So to me that would be the funniest outcome of this. Like, if that's what the case was, if they are so entrenched in the design and the pragmatic justifications for a design like that, and then all of a sudden just a casual observer comes along and it was just like, what do you think?
Wait a minute.
Well, I think it looks like a giant dick, sir. Oh my gosh, what have we done? Too late now. So that could be possible, I suppose.
Yeah, it's almost like clickbait.
What's that?
It's almost like clickbait, Giant, D travels to space, and you'd be like, well, what's going on there? And you open the article, and it's actually about something pretty cool. So,
Giant D travels to space. And another thing too is that the innuendos just write themselves from there. It's just endless.
That's it. Everyone's talking about it.
Everyone's talking about it. Like, when I first saw a picture of that thing, like, I could not believe it. Like, no way is that the real picture.
Like, is this a joke?
No way would they do that. No way. And like, where's the real picture? Is this like from the Onion or the Babylon Bee? Where's the real picture? And then that's it. And I was like, wow. So there you have it, folks.
Agreed. I mean, I was pretty shocked when I saw it mentioned on the news this morning, and they were speaking about it, quite openly. But everyone's asking the same question, and kudos to him. He's got all the attention. Everyone in the world knows, whether it's a spaceship or a D, something's going to space and it's commercial, and people have paid a lot of money to get there. So
yeah, send that giant D to space, and that kind of writes itself too.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, this has been a lot of fun, Sadaf. Do you have anything to add to this magnificent broadcast?
It was amazing. I think most of the time I was listening. It was so informative. And so well. Samuel and Ross are both so well spoken, and they really did try and break it down to almost all technical levels. What great show. Really, really happy to be a part of it. And I think everyone else kind of enjoyed it too. We've only got two thumbs down, but 202 thumbs up. So yeah,
that's actually an incredible ratio for YouTube. It's actually almost unheard of to get only 2 thumbs down. But now I'm sure some troll will come in and like throw 10 in there from alias accounts. Now that we mentioned it. And guys, you can Sadaf Jadran is now, I've made her a core team member of Steele Live, so she's going to continue to be one of my regular rotating co-hosts on the channel, and you can see why. She's awesome. She's lovely. She's brilliant. She's a very nice addition to what we're doing, and I'm just excited about the future. Excited about keep expanding this channel and growing it, and just fine-tuning it, and just making it better and more interesting with each passing day. If you want to give Sadaf a follow on Twitter, I put her Twitter in the chat. I assume most of you guys already follow me. If not, I'm under Mr. Steven Steele. I'm not hard to find, guys. I'm not hard to find. I think we're ready to put a cap on this one. Sadaf, this was awesome. Again, like to extend my thanks to Samuel Reid for joining us earlier, and Ross Nicoll, of course. And don't forget, Ross Nicoll is going to have a conversation with the one and only Vitalik Buterin on his Twitch channel on the 28th of this month. And even more exciting than that, you guys try to contain your excitement on this next one, but yours truly, your man Real Deal Steven Steele, will be the featured guest on Ross Nicoll's Twitch stream on August 1st. So actually, wow. I am not looking forward to that, because how anticlimactic to bring me on after a couple days off the heels of Vitalik Buterin.
Don't be silly. I think it's going to be great. Thank you for recruiting me as a regular. I love this community. I love the energy that everyone brings here. It's only been 2 shows so far, and one was a rug pull. My apologies, but it's been really exciting, really fun.
Well,
I think today proved that I'm not the bad omen, and the rug pulls didn't happen because of me. So I'm like just hanging for this show to end so that we can end it without a rug pull.
Well, it was definitely quite a way to begin your tenure, right? Live that it was interesting. That's another very interesting episode that will be interesting to see as more history goes on, because this was the only live show happening literally as the Upshot debacle was transpiring. And so if you want to see me in real time get mind fucked and
it was crazy, and
have to recalibrate my perspective on somebody who I thought was a pretty close ally and friend in this space anyway, in this content creator space, you can see it on the channel, and that was about 6 days ago now. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think I had scheduled about 3 hours for the show, because we discussed we'd probably be looking anywhere between 1 hours. And then before we knew it, we're up to 5 hours, and I had a doctor's appointment for some blood work. And I'm standing there, I'm like, I can't hang up. I need to stay on. This is happening live. No, but you did a really good job executing that show for what I think it went for almost 7 hours. My battery died while I was there, but Yeah, really interesting. And I think, the benefit of that was most of the times when these rug pulls happen, you've got everybody, trying to look for information. People are constantly refreshing their news feed and looking for updates. It was good to have an outlet where everyone could just hop on and discuss things and have some of their questions answered live. So I think if anything, you kind of saved the day. So it was good to be on with you.
Well, it was as therapeutic for me as it was for many of you. I mean, it was.
You went through a range of emotions.
Yeah, I really did, and I try to, like I said, I'm sure I inevitably fall short sometimes, but I really do try to cover things as unbiasedly as I can. So having the task to do that to someone who I considered a pretty good friend was a large one, right? So here I was faced with the facts coming in, and I said, listen, my first thought was, there's a lot of overlap between Upshot's audience and my audience. Consequently, there's a lot of Upcoin investors that are watching right now, and I owe it to them to be as timely as I can about what's transpiring here. And that's when I started saying, like, guys, this does not look good. It's possible that this was a hack, but I don't think that's what this case was. All I can say is, given the information that we have so far that's been coming in, this does not look good. This does not look good. So, oh man, but
honestly, I think at the end of all of that, you can add it on your CV. The ability to handle a rug pull live. So you did really well.
Yeah, and I think this will continue. That particular rug will continue to be a fascinating topic of discussion, not for the fact of how it ultimately transpired, but who ultimately transpired it, right? That's where the story is. That's where the story is. One of the most unassuming sources that most people anyway would have ever expected, and that's what makes it a very curious, a very interesting story.
Look, I watched the video the next day as well.
Oh, you did?
The 17-minute video. Yeah, I couldn't be bothered sitting through all of it. So I don't know. To me, it didn't sound. I don't want to open a can of worms, but it was not convincing, and it was almost like. Again, I don't understand why a day later. I think people, for him it was walking away from a project that became too much, but for everybody else, it was a project that they had, entrusted and put their money into. So I think everyone kind of owed it to each other, really. But yeah, just it almost felt like it was. To me, it just didn't feel genuine. It was just the constant shrugging and I tried. But kudos to you for really and everybody. Like, I think we mentioned this live. Probably the first time I've seen a rug pull and so many people come out and defend, a dev. So he obviously had a lot of people in the community who knew him on some level. So I've just never had that many positive comments about somebody. So I think we were all pretty disappointed.
Yeah, really well stated. In regards to his departing video and what you said there, I think you touched on some really, really important points to make. And I will say this, upon further review, and now that I've had even a few more days to digest everything that had transpired, particularly in the wake of Upshot's now taken down, but other people have uploaded, of course, 7-minute departure video. I will say this, I think it was just the combination, it appears anyway, that I don't think he initially started his journey with the intention of starting a token. I don't think so. But then I think he did see an opportunity there and took it. And then once he took it, I think from me talking to him, he actually was caught pretty flat-footed by the amount of backlash he was receiving from certain sectors of the Doge community for starting his project. He did not expect that. So I think that
and that's understandable.
I think he really took that to heart more than he should have, because the overwhelming amount of his audience were still very supportive of him, right? And instead of just plugging on there, he allowed that criticism, and some of it was pretty brutal. I mean, guys, being in the position that we are, you do on a daily basis put up with a lot of shitty comments, man. A lot of really unnecessary harassment. It just goes with the territory. I've definitely been able to recalibrate to it and get more used to it now. But for with Upshot, the criticism of his coin, it really got to him. I think it got to him so much to the point that when things started going south, I think part of his motivation, whether how premeditated or not it was, I don't know. But I think part of his motivation for ultimately handling it was in part a revenge on those people. You know what I mean? I think in part it was a revenge on those people. And that's one thing that became very clear to me anyway upon watching his final video statement release. And then also what was interesting is how kind of almost defensive he got, where it's like, hey, that's crypto, guys, you know, c'est la vie.
Yeah.
You know, it's never a safe investment. I'm like, well, bro, crypto's not a safe investment, but your whole brand was created on being the responsible, safe investor within crypto and somebody that people trusted. And, you know, and whether he meant this thing to end up the way it did or not, he owed it to his investors. He owed it to his audience. He owed it to his friends to handle this a lot more responsibly. He owed it to us. And furthermore, it was disappointing on his final video that he didn't straight issue us an apology. What we saw was, I'm making this video for one of the devs, you know, because he wanted me to make it, and I'm doing it to help clear his name because he's a good guy. I'm like, well, that's cool of you, but what about us, man? What about the friends and your fans that you've kind of put in through some shock over this? You know, what about an apology to the investors and the people that lost all sorts of money? You know, no, of course it's a very risky venture. Cryptocurrency is a risky venture, but that doesn't mean that doesn't justify what essentially equated to a rug pull from him. That's not a justification for that.
Yeah, and I noticed a lot of backlash he received from, I think at one point he said, you know, I sold my tokens and my son sold his, and it was almost like, I know that he got a lot of backlash for that, because it was almost like, well, I saw it tanking and I took myself out, and you guys should have been more responsible. And I don't think that's what the community was kind of turning towards that video and him in general for. I think they were, but you know what, playing devil's advocate, even if he made a video stating that he was hacked, I think it would have still been received negatively, so to speak, because I think a lot of people were burnt by it. So at least we know now. We know that, you know, he's spoken out about it, and like anything else he said, he's just stepping away, and it could still be alive. But I think people had their money more on him than the actual project. So
100%.
Disheartening.
100%. Like I'm skeptical and not super bullish about any token projects, but the reason why I got behind it, and the reason why I issued a tweet behind it and have since apologized for issuing that tweet behind it, and it's very comical, dark comedy in hindsight, but and I even said it is because of him more than anything, is because of who I perceived him to be, right? Somebody with a lot of integrity and honesty and forthrightness. In a bizarre twist of irony. Things happened the way they did. Another thing too, I think his last message to me, which was sell your upcoin, the whales are pulling. He knows my personality. He knew that I was going to publish that right away. He knew I was going to screenshot that and put it out for public consumption to see. And that's exactly what I did. Not but 10 or 20 minutes after I got that message, I broke it as soon as I got it in on the air, what to make of it. And now I think there's proof to show multiple wallets. So what could have happened theoretically, which to me would make sense. I don't have any concrete evidence for it, but this is a theory, mind you, but I think it's a very plausible one. And that is that when he told me that to sell, that the whales were selling, that he was the whales. Okay. So, he could have been the whales in multiple wallets and then unloaded it all at the same time. And which would have given him the convenience of a cover that, it was the whale's fault, or it was predominantly the whale's fault. So that's a possible narrative as well.
No, all eyes on his future lifestyle.
Yeah. So I don't know. People wonder how much he made off with, guys. It could have been anywhere as low as 80,000, up to, easily over $1 million or a couple million. Who knows? But another thing I'm just baffled over as a content creator and knowing how many subscribers he had was if let's say he made 80,000 off of it, that is like even more unfortunate from a strategical point of view. Cause I'm like, dude, you could easily make 80K in a few months, just a couple months on your YouTube channel with 75,000 subscribers. Like, what are you thinking? Why would you throw it all away for that? But, so who knows, guys, who knows? Will we see a return of him? I'd say it's very unlikely, but you know what? I wouldn't completely take it off the table. You never know. Time does have a way of, making, people more flexible to such things. So who knows? We will see. Yeah. Donnie says he was the whales. Yes. I said it the night you streamed, I call it. Yeah. I mean, you could be right. Well, guys, this was a real treat. This was a lot of fun, and hope you enjoyed it. And I will be back soon. It might be a couple days for me, guys, before I'm back. We'll just see how it goes, because I am in the middle of a move right now. I'm in the middle of moving, and so I might have to get things squared away in my new digs for a couple days and get my new internet up there. So we shall see. But in the meantime, you can get a hold of me on the Twitter. Sadaf, you have anything else to cap this off with?
No, I think I just wanted to add in there that I am also in the middle of a move trying to get the
we
internet
both
set
are.
up.
We are running on the same current.
Yeah, but no, epic show. Thank you so much for having myself, and a big shout out to Samuel and Ross for a great informative session.
Very good. Sadaf, always lovely, and a treat. Guys, thank you so much for sticking around and through this whole stream. And I will, after it's posted, I will put some timestamps in the comments according to what topics and what guests are where, right? So, okay, I think we'll put a cap on this one and leave you guys with the outro. Until next time, this is Steele.
Thanks, guys.
Signing out.